taking a train, taking a train, taking a train, taking a train.
Remember just a couple of months ago when we came within hours of a nationwide rail strike? Well, we could see a repeat of that early next month. The nation's freight railroads are still locked in contract negotiations with several rail unions, and a significant number of workers are not happy with the deal that's on the table. NPR's Andrea Hsu has more.
Roughly 30% of freight in this country moves by rail, everything from cars to corn to barley for making beer. So you can imagine how disruptive it would be if the trains suddenly stopped. And it wouldn't just be freight trains. Some Amtrak and commuter trains would be affected too. The railroad industry says a rail shutdown could cost the nation $2 billion a day. President Biden thought this nightmare scenario had been averted back in September. An emergency board he appointed had worked out a framework for a deal. Workers would get a 24% raise over 5 years and some quality of life improvements.
This is a win for tens of thousands of rail workers and for their dignity and the dignity of their work. It's a recognition of that.
But the rail unions still had to vote on it, all 12 of them. 7 unions have since approved the deal, but 3 have voted no, so they're back negotiating, and we're still waiting on 2 more. The way it works, if any one union decides to strike, all of the unions will honor the picket lines. Reese Murtaugh, a mechanic based in Richmond, Virginia, is willing and ready.
I want one of these unions to call them out. Let's see what actually happens, you know?
Murtaugh's union voted narrowly to approve the deal, but he was a no vote. The raises, he says, barely keep up with inflation. Healthcare premiums could almost double. And the deal includes no paid sick days. That was perhaps the biggest disappointment.
Our jaws hit the ground. We were like, what? Where are the sick days at?
Now, the railroads will point out their workers do have short-term disability insurance. It kicks in after a waiting period. But they don't get the kind of sick days that can be used when you wake up with the flu or you have a dental emergency. Murtaugh says it's infuriating, especially after rail workers showed up all through COVID, even when the virus was spreading unchecked.
One team I was on, half the team came down with it. We just worked with half the guys. We just went out there and put rail in with half the crew. We never skipped a beat out there.
Meanwhile, the railroads have been highly profitable, setting new records in 2021, in part because they've dramatically reduced the workforce by around 30%. The unions argue that they can well afford to be more generous. The railroad industry says the contract on the table is already the most generous in modern history. But deep in the report produced by Biden's emergency board, Murtaugh found another reason the railroads are not offering more.
It's on page 32, and I'm leaping through here to find it.
It's in the section that addresses the railroad's huge profits.
Here it is. The carriers maintain that capital investment and risk are the reasons for their profits, not any contributions by labor.
Murtaugh's first thought after reading that,
are you serious?
The words stung. He thought back on his years as a traveling mechanic, including during the pandemic, 14-hour days trudging through all kinds of terrain in all sorts of weather, missing his young family back home. He printed out the page and posted it on his union bulletin board the next day.
And everyone was like, what is that?
It's fueled his desire to see a rail strike. He thinks it may be the only way to have their voices heard. He knows that Congress would likely intervene to stop a strike and that workers could end up with less than what's on the table now. But that's a risk he wants to take. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
This is Steph Curry, the world's leading expert on cryptocurrency.
I'm not.
He's not making pasta, he's printing crypto.
No.
He mines Bitcoin from a giant block of ice.
Definitely not.
Okay, quit messing around, man. Give me some tips on crypto.
No.
But you are an expert, right?
No, I'm not an expert, and I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
The collapse of FTX has caused pain for customers and the crypto sector at large. It was also a massive blow for FTX's roughly 300 employees, many of whom held a stake in the company or owned its in-house cryptocurrency, FTT. The Wall Street Journal spoke with more than a dozen current and former employees, many of whom said they were stunned by FTX's swift demise and shocked by the alleged misuse of customer funds by its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. Joining us to discuss where this all leaves FTX's workers is our reporter, Alexander Osipovich. Hi, Alex. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, you spoke with FTX staff. What was it like for them at the company before the collapse?
It was a pretty good place to work. They got paid well. They thought that they were part of this idealistic enterprise because Sam Bankman-Fried was so associated with philanthropy and a movement called effective altruism. He pledged to give 1% of the exchange's fee revenue to charity. So these people thought that they were doing good, working at a fast-growing company that was going to change the world.
Obviously, things didn't work out so great for the company, but how did employees of FTX find out about the collapse and the allegations of misuse of customer funds that have been made?
The employees were basically blindsided by everything that went down. Very, very few of them seem to have known about the misuse of customer funds. It appears the knowledge of that was kept tightly within a small circle of executives, the founders around Sam Bankman-Fried. All the other employees I've talked to said they didn't suspect anything, so they were utterly shocked. They basically found out that it was happening the same time we in the public did through tweets and media reports and things like that. And one of the big complaints that the employees had last week as FTX was trying to sell itself and things like that, they weren't hearing anything from management. Sam came in with some belated updates over the company's Slack channel, but they were very frustrated they weren't hearing anything sooner.
And can you tell us what their reactions were as they did find out about the collapse and some of the actions that were taken by Sam Bankman-Fried and other executives?
We have sources who told us that one FTX executive, Ryan Salami, actually threw up when he learned about the misuse of customer funds because it was such a shock to him. There are other employees who quit. In fact, I would say many, perhaps most of the staff quit over the space of a few days. They didn't want to be associated with the FTX anymore. They submitted their resignations. It was sort of a rush for the exits. And many people sent Sam angry messages or expressed their discontent over chats or even over Twitter in one case.
The fallout, though, for these workers, it goes beyond losing their job, doesn't it? Weren't a lot of them investors in FTX as well?
Yes. This was financially ruinous for a lot of these employees. Many of them had taken the opportunity to buy FTX equity. There were different opportunities of doing that, and sometimes they got it as bonuses. And all that equity was wiped out in the bankruptcy. In addition to that, some of them actually were big holders of the FTT token, which is a cryptocurrency created by FTX itself that has almost completely collapsed in value during all these events. And lastly, many of the international employees actually were paid by direct deposits to FTX. So instead of getting direct deposit to the bank, they got paid by deposits to the exchange, FTX.com. And so when FTX.com froze to its customers, the employees also couldn't withdraw their money.
FTX has its headquarters in the Bahamas. Is this the case both for the expats who were working there and for the Bahamians who were employed by FTX as well?
Well, the collapse of FTX had somewhat different impacts on the expatriate employees in the Bahamas and the local hires. The local hires were excited about this new industry that was coming to their island, and some of them spent thousands of dollars to buy FTX equity, but generally they weren't in senior roles. They were in sort of logistics, compliance in some cases, and they were, of course, very disappointed by the events that happened. In the case of the expatriate employees, these are usually people who are fairly well off or successful in their own right, and they essentially responded by leaving the island. Some of them had trouble as they were leaving. For instance, they had FTX credit cards, and the credit cards in some cases were declined as they were trying to fly out of the Bahamas to go back to New York or Hong Kong or other places.
You know, a lot of customers really put a ton of faith and trust in Sam Bankman-Fried. He was seen as this sort of good voice for the crypto industry before this all happened. What was his reputation like inside the company? And, you know, how are employees feeling about that changing now?
So I would say inside the company, generally people believe that he was a good guy. The sort of myth that you've seen about him outside was true inside the company. They thought that he was driven by ethics and philanthropy, and he and his sort of inner circle talked a lot about effective altruism and maximizing the value of the things that they were doing. There were some kind of quirks that I think weren't really apparent to the outside. He wasn't always the best manager. He ran a very flat organization. And so as FTX grew, he became kind of this bottleneck, and everybody needed to get Sam's approval to do anything. And sometimes he was kind of unresponsive. And there was also, I think, some resentment of some of the inner circle around him as having too much power. But on the whole, I think that people were generally pretty happy to work there.
So what's the future then for workers who have left FTX and for those who've stayed with the company?
My understanding is not that many people have stayed with FTX. There are a small number of people who are helping to wind down the business and help the new leadership of the company that was put in charge after the bankruptcy proceedings began. The people who have left, I think, will have something of a challenge because their reputations have been tarnished. Even if they knew nothing about the misuse of customer funds, they feel like they now have this big toxic patch on their resume. They're also worried about potentially being targeted in lawsuits and investigations and things like that, and are fearing that that might consume their lives for the next few years at least.
All right, that was our reporter, Alexander Osipovich. Thanks so much for joining us, Alex.
Thanks very much for having me.
I became sort of a mascot, like a pink poodle. In fact, I got called a nigger so much I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought it was my name. They talked about me like I wasn't there, like I was some kind of pedigreed dog or a horse. Like I was invisible.
Now, the important thing is to be realistic. We all like you here, you know that. But you're a nigger, and a lawyer is no realistic goal for a nigger.
But why, Mr. Ostrowski? I get the best grades in class. I got voted class president. I want to be a lawyer.
Now, I want you to think about something that you can be. You're good with your hands, making things. People would give you work. I would myself. Why don't you become a carpenter? That's a good profession for a color. Wasn't your pa a carpenter? Jesus was a carpenter. People like you as a person. You're doing real well. Remember what we said. Nothing succeeds like success. Let me hear it.
Nothing succeeds like success.
Right. As long as you're realistic.
People of color, and especially black people, are overrepresented among victims of trauma, economic and physical violence, and, as we've heard examples of even in this program today, discrimination at the hands of law enforcement. But according to the American Bar Association, black lawyers make up only 4.5% of all lawyers, depriving some significant portion of the community from one of the avenues to protecting against these harms and making change. Now, a local nonprofit is trying to change that with an innovative way of encouraging black kids to start from an early age to believe and pursue a career in the legal profession. Natasha Scruggs is an attorney and founder and president of Just Us System, Inc. here in Kansas City. Natasha, welcome to Up to Date.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. We'll also be joined by a participant in the program. But Natasha, let me start with you. Tell us first about the organization you founded. What is Just Us System?
So Just Us System was founded in 2016, and it was basically a culmination of everything that I had been studying since I was 17 years old. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, so I've been in Kansas City for 6 years, but St. Louis is my home, and as people have seen, we have an issue with police brutality, mass incarceration, defunded schools, racial discrimination, all of that. And when I was 17, my uncle was actually killed by the police, by St. Louis County Police, when he was unarmed. And this was 6 years before Mike Brown was killed and all the lenses was on St. Louis. And at 17, I started studying and Googling how to fix this system, how to change the system. I majored in criminal justice, interned in like 5 different public defender offices in different states. And when I graduated law school, I founded Just Us System. And what it essentially is it's saying we don't have to wait for people. We don't have to wait for celebrities or politicians. It's just us. Mm-hmm. We can actually make these changes, and we can actually help our students by supplemental education. And so we provide supplemental education programs, and we fill the gaps between the justice system and the education system. And we're building a new pipeline that makes the school to prison pipeline obsolete.
So the Future Black Lawyers Initiative is something new within this work you're doing. What is it?
So this is one of our programs that we have, and it's basically teaching students from 13 through 18. And of course, we do have college and law school students, but it's teaching students how to become attorneys and how to make change. Some of our Future Black Lawyers Institute students end up being something else, like engineering or in politics or something like that, but they all have that lens on how to make that change. And that really impacted me, because when I was in law school, my first internship was in a juvenile justice clinic and a juvenile justice court, and I saw 8-year-olds in handcuffs. And so I knew that if we had a program, we wouldn't need to put these children in handcuffs. We could actually teach them things and give them the extra support they needed.
So obviously, in trying to interest young people in the legal profession, you could, I suppose, introduce them to tax attorneys or estate lawyers or something, but that's not the direction you've decided to go. What do they do? So
we introduce them to sports attorneys and judges, because sports is exciting. And so we do kinesthetic learning. We don't do a lot of lecturing. Our students do very well because they're engaged. They're deeply engaged. So we get partnerships with local sports teams like the Chiefs, the Royals. They work with Kansas City Chiefs attorney Chris Shea and the Royals attorney Adam Sachs. In St. Louis, we work with the Cardinals attorney Mike Whittle, and we just left Boston, and we were working with the Celtics attorneys there. Wow. So basically, whatever state and city that we go in and where our students are, we're opening that network so that they can be tapped in. And the thing I love about sports is, number one, it transcends race and gender, because everybody loves sports. Number two, it's a huge vehicle to social justice because of the power, the influence, and the money that it garners just from an athlete saying something or wearing something. So it's the perfect avenue. It's the perfect vehicle, to get to social justice.
Well, I want to talk with one of the students who's been involved in this work. Madden Tanner is joining us on the phone. He's a student at the African Centered Preparatory Academy here in Kansas City, 13 years old. Madden, thanks for being with us.
Hi. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm so glad you're here. So how did you get involved in this program?
I was introduced by my mom, who found the program through social media.
And what year are you in school, Madden?
I'm in the 8th grade currently.
All right, and that's a long time ahead to be thinking about what you want to do with your life, but are you interested in the law now?
I am interested in learning the law more so I can understand how to run my own business.
Well, that's great. So what would you say you've learned by being part of this program?
I've learned that sports law is, as previously mentioned, very exciting but very influential. And I never noticed how far sports law can affect athletes' life.
Yeah. I wonder, is there a particular experience you've had as part of this program that really stands out for you?
I would say being able to see Royals game and meeting a representative for the Royals law division.
That's actually really exciting. Let me ask you, Natasha, how many students like Madden have been involved with the program?
So far, we've helped over 200 students since inception. And a big thing that we try to help is that a lot of students get suspended and get expelled, and we're stopping that pipeline from there. And so we help students actually get back into school and get back involved in what they want to be involved in. So we help all types of students. We also have students that are in foster care. We have students that parents have been killed by the police. Parents are incarcerated. We basically help students that are traditionally disadvantaged, and we give them advantages.
I know you're raising money for this program at this point, Natasha. There's a social media-a-thon next week. You're hoping to raise $100,000. Where can people get more information about the program if they want to support it?
They can go to www.justussystem.org, and that's just JUST US system.org, and they can join our Giving Tuesday campaign. I know people might think that their little bit of support would not help, but it actually will. Just help from everyone. That's what Just Us System was created for.
Madden Tanner is 13 years old and a participant in the program. Madden, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
And Natasha Scruggs is an attorney and the founder and president of Just Us System. Natasha, thank you for being part of this.
Thanks.
Today was day started off great, but the way how the day ended was, how you say it, not too good. I was at work, got to my last stop, made the delivery. The lady comes out. I say, hey, sign for this. She signed. She goes back in. Since it was my last stop of the day, I was like, I'm going to take my break. I looked to my right. It was like empty. There was no houses. It was across the street. It was a place that was burnt down from the Santa Rosa fires. They had to rebuild right there. I don't know why. But it's a beautiful view. Really, really beautiful. See all kinds of trees and lights. It's nice. So I was like, I'm going to pull over here and take my break. I pull over, take my break. I pull out my book, start reading, start eating my apple. And a guy comes up. He pulls up. He goes into the house, the last house I just delivered in. So I'm just sitting there reading, and the guy comes out. He walks all the way across the street, and he comes over, he knocks on the truck, and he goes, what are you doing? I looked at him, I was like, what are you doing? He was like, well, my wife was home alone. And I was like, I had no clue she was home alone. And she was worried because we came across the street. And he was like, what's she worried about? And she was like, well, you've been sitting over here, and you're a big guy. I was like, I can't sit here and read and be a big guy. I have to be up to something. And the guy was like, oh, no, you're not up to nothing. It was just, we was worried. And I was like, dude, like, seriously, today? And I questioned him a little more, because I was trying to stay in a question lane. And it just got to the point where he was just, I'll leave you alone. I thought you were doing something that you shouldn't have been doing or whatever. And he goes back in the house. So I write it down. I go to work. I make my report. That was the end of that.
It was like an extremely long process to even get this far inside of the case. I feel like most of the time I was treated like a suspect rather than a victim.
It's almost been a year since DeMonterio Gibson's FedEx route turned into a life-or-death situation. The 24-year-old was attempting to deliver packages along Junior Trail on January 24th when Gregory and Brandon Case allegedly shot at his vehicle and chased him. It wasn't until November 15th that the father-son duo was indicted for attempted murder.
I know that Dr. King said justice delayed is not justice denied, but 10 months, nearly 10 months from the date he was accosted, assaulted, almost killed, we'd finally have an indictment or indictments.
Gibson's attorney, Carlos Moore, maintains that the delay is due to a conflict of interest within the Brookhaven Police Department.
We do know that the assistant chief of police has the same last name as the Cases. His last name is Case, and he's related to them based on my investigation.
We've asked Chief Kenneth Collins about this before, only to be told, quote, there's no relation. We've gone down the whole family tree to make sure that we're truthful. My assistant chief, Chris Case, is kin to a totally different set of cases, end quote. Regardless of what's causing the delay, Moore says it's only forcing his client to wait longer for true justice, which will come in the form of convictions.
This happened in January of this year. It is now November. On a typical timeline, you would have had indictments secured probably in March or April. You would have been at trial by now.
Yeah! Buffalo's happening now. We're on the move now. The bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We got the spirit.
But hope with you and march with you, same beat, same drum, because they want better. This is a mafia full of love.
Happy Sunday. Welcome to Highmark Stadium, one of the best atmospheres in the National Football League. Super Jazz for the Buffalo Bills.
My uncle loved the Bills. Teeny loved the Bills. He wore his hat everywhere, and he loved the Bills. Loved them. It's different. It's different to watch without him. It's different to just be in a world where he's not at. You always have a choice. We continue to choose love every day. So let's be good to one another. That's it.
A very special thanks to the supremely talented producer Sarah Rinaldi for capturing how a hate-inspired act did not deepen the divide because the community chose love.
Good evening. I'm Hannah Bueller. 7 News has obtained a lawsuit that has been filed against a Buffalo police captain. Several officers accuse Captain Amber Beyer of going on a racist rant during a meeting earlier this year. Today, I took a deeper dive into the lawsuit and spoke with the attorney for the officers at the center of it. This 17-page lawsuit alleges Buffalo Police Captain Amber Beyer, the head of the behavioral health team, went on a 20-minute racist rant while on the clock, making fellow officers uncomfortable and violating their civil rights. The 3 plaintiffs, all African-American, one a 15-year veteran of the force, another a 6-year veteran, and a behavioral health clinician, all say that on May 2nd, their boss, Beyer, made comments after watching a viral video of a white officer pulling over a black police officer. The comments included statements such as, quote, black men cheat on their wives more than white men. All the black police officers she knows are unfaithful. If she saw a black man in her neighborhood, she would be suspicious. White officers get PTSD from working in black neighborhoods like the east side of Buffalo, but black officers do not because they are used to violence, and black people commit more violent crime than white people.
The comments are shocking. I mean, if you read the complaint, they say some of the worst stereotypes you can say, and including that people are justified to have racist feelings towards black people. And for a police officer in a very senior and prominent role, a captain, to be saying those things is shocking.
According to the suit, the officers filed a formal complaint with Internal Affairs, and upon learning of the investigation, Beyer called them liars and gossips.
To think that a police officer in such a senior position continues to work, and the justification is, well, we're looking into it, I don't think that's a valid excuse.
The suit also alleges in late September, Captain Beyer printed out a Facebook post by a mentally unwell Buffalo woman, the Buffalo Neighbors, the behavioral health team, works primarily with, and began reading the post in dramatic fashion, repeatedly yelling the N-word as it was written in the post. After this last encounter, the suit says all of the plaintiffs either left their jobs or have gone on leave. The Buffalo Police Department tells me once it became aware of the second allegation in October, Beyer was reassigned and no longer oversees the day-to-day operations of the behavioral health team. Beyer, the department, and the city are being sued for retaliation, a hostile work environment, and race discrimination. They're seeking $15 million in damages. And I did reach out to the Buffalo Police Department Commissioner. Commissioner Gramalia tells me the department has yet to be served with this lawsuit, but says the internal investigation is ongoing. He does expect that to be wrapped up soon.
Hello, my name is John H. Crawford, Jr. I'm the father of the slain John H. Crawford III, who on August 5th was murdered in the biggest retail store in the entire world. That'd be Walmart. Let me say the name loudly for you. Walmart. In Virginia.
Our next guest is an eyewitness to the deadly shooting inside that Walmart. She says she worked alongside the shooter one day before the tragedy and was inside of that break room when the suspect opened fire. Her name is Breonna Tyler. She's only been a Walmart employee, she tells, for a couple of months, and she joins us now live from her home. Breonna, thank you for taking the time for being with us. How are you? How are you doing today?
I'm still processing things. I can't get the visual out of my head, but I'm okay physically, of course, but just mentally and emotionally, it's definitely a lot to take in. It definitely is a lot, but I'll be okay.
I'm glad to hear that. Being able to focus on that, I can't imagine. So tell us about those moments. You said processing it. What are you processing?
Well, I was literally just getting to work. Our shift is from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. I got there a few minutes late. About 10:06 is when I clocked in on my phone. I walked to the break room like normal. That's where we have our nightly meeting of where everyone's going to be, stocking their particular section. And, you know, I'm just standing there. There were a few things that seemed like off to me about that whole night that just, they stick out to more to me now that that situation has happened. Like, just different things, like the maintenance man, who actually the first person to end up getting hit, he actually went around the entire room and gave everyone trash bags, which he doesn't normally does, so that stuck out to me. And then, like, when I walked in the room, something in me told me not to sit down. I don't know exactly what it was, but something just said, just stand up, just stand up. And I just stood up the entire time. And as soon as the team lead said he was about to get the meeting started, he said, all right, guys, we have a really light night tonight. And as soon as he said that, the supervisor or the manager just came around the corner and literally just opened fire and just started swaying his arm back and forth. He didn't have a target. He didn't, you know, he wasn't aiming for anybody specifically. He literally was just shooting across the entire break room.
It's terrifying. I mean, that just sounds unimaginable. And how did you keep yourself safe? You just hit the deck? Did you run?
I honestly, at first I froze because I thought I was in like a simulation. It felt fake in the very moment, because I'm literally looking at this man and I see the smoke leaving the gun, but it's just not registering to me because I think it was the fact that I recognized his face. If it were someone that I had never seen before, then I feel like it would have been realer in that moment. But the fact that this is somebody that I worked with and I talked to and I was next to every day, it was just like, this can't be real. And so I saw all of my coworkers, you know, diving onto the floor, and I'm just looking around like, what's going on? And then once I saw blood, I was like, oh, this is really real. And then that's when it processed that, like, you have to run or you're gonna die. And then I just booked it through the store, and all I kept saying was, don't trip, don't fall, don't look back, just run. And that's exactly what I did. I just ran straight for the front door.
Cannot imagine what you went through. Tell us, if you can, a little bit about the supervisor, about the shooter. You said you felt uneasy about that employee meeting leading up to the shooting. Was it because of something about the supervisor, about the shooter?
Not necessarily that night, like not necessarily last night, but I would say he was just the supervisor that everyone warned everybody else about. So when you first started at that job, it was like, okay, this is the supervisor that is most likely going to pick on you, or he's going to have an issue with what you do and things like that. So, you know, I had to note it in the back of my head that, you know, oh, okay, cool, you know, we might run into an issue, but I never thought that it would be anything to this extent. Because like I said, he didn't say anything. He didn't point to anyone specific. He didn't aim at anyone specific. It was like he was just out to get any and everybody that he worked with. He genuinely just did not care.
And Brianna, you said it was a handgun that he was using?
Yes.
You got a sense of how many shots he got off?
He let off probably about 8 to 10 in the break room alone. Like, he was just literally just swaying his arm back and forth, and he was just shooting. I would say he let about a whole clip out. I would.
And Brianna, you say you've been working at that store for just a couple of months. What more can you tell us about the suspect? Did you have a sense that this was a guy who wasn't right?
I mean, he always gave off like he was like the loner type. Like he was quiet and to himself, I will say that. He just, you know, he gave off the vibe that was just like, you don't talk to him unless you have to. Like, I've never once had like a joyous, fun conversation with him. It was always about work, and that was it. So whereas with everybody else, you know, a lot of people, they laugh, they joke. I have other supervisors that I can, you know, talk to casually. But with him, it was always just like a straight shot. Okay, this is what we're doing. This is what it is. So he wasn't like the fun, bubbly type of person. So I can't really say anything about him other than everybody just about had a trivial issue with him at one point. But nobody, right. I don't think anybody could have ever guessed that he would take it to this extent.
Right. Whatever this is, he kept inside of. Now, how has the store and the company responded to employees after the shooting? Have you heard from anyone to reach out to you, make sure you're okay, you're doing all right, do you have what you need?
I haven't heard from anyone officially. I have talked to my other coworkers, and they've asked that, you know, if I was okay. There were coworkers outside of the store last night, of course, after everything happened, so we were all checking in with each other. Someone did come up to me and get my first and last name and make sure that, you know, I was accounted for in the group of the employees, but I haven't spoken to, like, any, like, corporate or any, like, a store managers or anything like that. No, not yet. No, sir.
You know, Brianna, I must say I'm just so impressed with how strong you are in this moment. It's a terrifying situation. I mean, have you learned, I mean, it's early, but have you learned something about yourself and about life, or is that just a ridiculous question?
No, not ridiculous at all. I would honestly say, even though it is still early, I know that I'm handling and I know it's going to set in more, but I know that I'm handling this a lot better than most people. So I would just say it's definitely taught me how strong I am. And just to really live life to the fullest. Like, I'm 28 and I have a 4-year-old son, and that seeing my life flash before my eyes, I feel like it definitely taught me that life can literally be taken from you at the blink of an eye. Like, you can be doing something as innocently as trying to go to work, and your life can get taken from you that fast. So I would just say, just reach out to the ones you love, keep an open relationship with them, do your best, like, just be a good person, because at the end of the day, you genuinely never know when you will look your child or your mother in their eyes again.
Amen to that. Brianna Tyler, we want to thank you very much for being with us. We want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and the thanks that you have for making it out, you know, communicates something to all of us. So thank you very much for being with us. Good luck.
Thank you. No problem. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Well, time I hear someone classified as white say, amen. Feel like I got some teaspoon of bad eggnog or rancid cranberries. I don't know. Worthless Negro from Virginia, Gus T. Renegade, Context of White Supremacy. Hopefully, here to broadcast constructive information on the system of white supremacy. Today's date, Negro Friday. Hope you all survived, didn't go out brawling, doing the elbow smash from the top of the aisle to get the bargains and discounts and deals and all that. Everybody just do all their stuff online. They still got they got Negro Friday, Coon Saturday, Cyber Monday, Spear Chucker Wednesday. Do people just do everything online now? I don't know. Hopefully you didn't have to work in that madness today, because they make you get up. Sometimes they start the shopping bonanzas at 5 a.m. Paul Ifeanyi Grant, he wrote that book about so-called capitalism, subsystem of white supremacy. That's white culture. Riot, go and knock somebody over the top of the head. They got a deal on skillets, that sort of thing. Hopefully you didn't have to work or do security in that madness. Yee. Anywho, racism, white supremacy does not take vacations. That was painfully on display this week. I have said pretty much for the entire year and almost the entire time that we've been on the air for COVID-19, with regards to the area of labor that many of us neglect, I do not. As someone who checks specifically for reports, information regarding the workplace regularly, daily. Wow, there has been an enormous amount of material since COVID-19, how that's impacted things on the job, and then the racism component for so many reasons. The week of Thanksgiving, there are normally less reports. A lot of you all, you didn't have to work, or you have fewer days where you have to be at work. Unless you were out, you know, doing security for Negro Friday today. But normally, as opposed to a slowdown, people are, you know, at home, on vacation, we'll catch everybody next month. Not this week. Not even close. I could have left out the segment on Walmart, or I could have did the whole 30 minutes on the Walmart shooting. Take your pick. Once again, no reason ever for folks to be spectating with regards to workplace racism, even if you yourself are not talking about your own experiences, observing things that are happening in the workplace. You can learn a lot about the system of white supremacy racism what it means to be white. The number to dial is 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. Number again, 605-313-5164. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. You can always use the free HD app to dial in for free anywhere in the world. We just had our guest Nairobi Thompson as a guest on the program in the UK. She used the app, dialed in for free, which made me super happy because that means it's super easy and she can dial in independently. I don't have to get her on my line or anything and just, bam, get her back on the program. In fact, I was going to be lazy this week. I was going to put my feet up and just rewind and play the segment where Nairobi Thompson, because this is like we're having two workplace racism programs this week. We have been on our counter-racist grind. I was going to play where we talked about wardrobe. She had fascinating commentary. She writes about it. Fashion, them calling her Madam Saucy, Madam Kinky Boots. All of these white men. What is it? Sweet Georgia Brown. Look at that chocolate. What you wearing today? Look at them here. Delectable Negro. And we talked about clothes. And I said, hey, given all of this, and she said that this was happening right when she first started the job. She was the only female. She was the only non-white employee. This was exclusively white men. And so she would be going to a white man to report this incorrect behavior. Who's homies with her? Who they are probably, did you see Madam Kinky Boots today? Kinky is in the word guide, by the way. Mr. Fuller has quite a bit to say about the word kinky. We've read it on the program before. Anyway, I was going to play that. She had fascinating commentary. I was going to play that, hear what she had to say, move forward. I couldn't even do that because of the volume of reports that happened just within the last 7 days. Quickly, let's see. So we got NairobiThompson.co.uk. Visit the website, get the book, whole book about workplace racism on the other side of the planet, and she ends up talking about exactly the same things. Incompetent, trifling, vindictive white women, wardrobe, no training. They jerk you around and lie about your salary, gossiping and rumors. The exact same thing, other side of the world. NairobiThompson.co.uk. She will be back because we only got through like the first third of the book, so we'll probably have to do 3 installments. We will have her back to continue. What we heard today instead, we started with the rail strike. I had to include that. Strike may be looming. They said that is enormous. They said about 1/3 of the goods are shipped via rail in the U.S. Oh my goodness, they're talking about inflation and shortages and what have you, and particularly for the so-called holiday season. Oh my goodness. And we have rail workers. Caller, black male, dialed in, told us they're out at the rail yard drawing penises. White genetic annihilation. He mailed it to me, in fact. In addition, he said those sick days, man, got us out here doing this grueling work that's so essential. If that's the case, 1/3 of the goods shipped, then why can't we get days off? Health is important, right? Get out there. Had to include that one. Major problem. Next, we heard the crypto. Had to include that. I hadn't even thought about the employees who work there now. They do all this. I'd be very curious to know how many non-white people worked at FTX or still work at FTX. They have so many non-white people who struggle to get these sort of tech jobs where they are considered so lucrative and difficult to obtain, have so many perks and all that other good stuff. man, now are you going to be besmirched? People look at you, oh my goodness, you stole all the money. We're out buying, sex workers and drugs, whatever else, with our money. Oh, gave us a bad name. And they said some of them had assets. If anything, that would be another reason to try to be super informed about the place you work. Because they said, what was the word they used? The metaphor. They said the FTX employees were blindsided. They made a whole movie about that, didn't they? Won an Academy Award, didn't they? Put old Sandra Bullock, saucy white woman. Didn't they do that? Anyway, let's see. Next, oh man. Now this is one where I said, wow, I don't know. I hope the cows has not wasted people's time. If we end up being here until February of next year, it'll be 14 years. Hopefully we have been constructive more often than not. This is one where I said, wow, that's amazing. We talked about this case. FedEx worker, hopefully formerly, DeMonterio Gibson. I even can put a specific date on it. So the first time we talked about this case was February 18, 2022. Neutralizing Workplace Racism, almost a year ago, as they said in the report. That's the first time, and the significance you heard B in Santa Rosa. He was speaking to us on February 11th, 2022, week before we heard about Mr. Gibson being shot at by a white father and son duo. B in Santa Rosa talked about, I'm just out here having my lunch, got my avocado, got my apple, trying to eat some produce, enjoy California weather. Hey, raping negro, what are you doing? Made my wife nervous. What are you doing? And he said, we asked us questions and all of that, and we talked about this. And I, said, hey, there's so many cases of this happening to delivery drivers, black delivery drivers. You have to have an extensive code, and there have been so many more of these cases in the almost year. And really, it's been tons of these throughout the 3 years of the pandemic. We even, more recently, I think we had the victim in New Jersey where he said a white woman came out and got sassy with him. What are you doing, taking up the street, making me work? Gotta wait for you, and all this nonsense. Where he said he got upset with her, and I asked him, what would you do if you had it to do over again? And I think I might have mentioned this case specifically. Shot at, bam. He didn't even get a day off. Talk about the rail workers. DeMonterio Gibson didn't get a day off. White father, white son fired at him. They got in the vehicle, and if my memory is correct, they chased him in the vehicle for 15 miles. It wasn't enough to just, raping negro. No. We got to chase you out of the county in your stolen FedEx vehicle, no doubt. And like I said, so that happens, he has to go back to work for the very next shift, which I believe was the very next day. He got the exact same vehicle with the bullet still rattling around in the cabin. They didn't even give him a Starbucks gift card. Then on top of all that, it took them almost a year. Okay. I guess Mr. Case or cases, I guess, even though these might be my relatives. He said they're not my relatives. We just got the same name, Case. Is Case that common? Case? Case, C-A-S-E? Because I don't know, like a bunch of Mr., Mrs. Case, Miss Case, and you all live in the same place? Really? That's just that's just a coincidence. Does it normally take 10 months? So if I go out and I shoot at someone in public for no reason, does it take them 10 months to adjudicate, to think, do we allow Negroes to fire at FedEx delivery workers. Let's see. I'm going to have to go get a sandwich, or maybe I'm going to have to, take a sabbatical to think on this one. We will reconvene September-ish, and we'll think about it. Are Negroes allowed to shoot at FedEx drivers? Is that a crime? That will Becker. I'm not aware. Orenthal James? Orenthal James? Anyway, let's see. Again, if you're a delivery driver, this is so common. And he said he felt he was treated like a criminal in this process. Mr. Gibson. Black male privilege. Let's see, because he never really said that he wasn't raping someone, right? So he could have been. Yeah. Let's see. So they got the lawyers initiative. Now that was one I thought about. Do I really need to play this? I said, yeah, because that's important. Retired firefighter talked about meeting with the young children down in Florida, asking them what they wanted to be, and everybody, I want to be LeBron James, Ja Morant, Steph Curry, go out and mislead people about cryptocurrency. Joking, but not really. It's not his fault. Even that, get all these black people to go out and promote it, and then, oh Lord, we done stole, anyway. But he said they all want to be, Steph Curry and Shaquille O'Neal, go out and be the next D-Wade, yeah. He said he had the one fellow who said, I want to be an oceanographer. Hey, let's go to the marina, go check out the dolphins. Need that. Scientists, yes. STEM, marine biology, yes. Go to the bottom of the ocean. Yes, you do that, son. Daughter, yes. That's why I said we need to play. And lawyers like Jesus Christ, we haven't made any progress. Minister Malcolm, we haven't made any progress. Man, white people do an extraordinary job. Make sure we don't have any Negro lawyers, no Negro doctors. Just keep them bouncing those balls forever. No reading. Let's see, man. So I had to play that one. And incidentally, we had another teaspoon of black male privilege, because even there, Miss Suggs, she is the founder of the Future Black Lawyers Initiative. She said she started this because way before Mike Brown Jr. was killed, black male privilege, way before that, she said her uncle was killed by the police right there in good old St. Louis. No hashtags, no T-shirts. In fact, we didn't even hear her uncle's name. Black male privilege. Let's see. So then we heard Buffalo. We heard the lead, and I told you the other day, Turkey Day, they had the Buffalo Bills. They played yesterday. Before they played, they did a whole tacky segment. Oh, the Tops victims. Oh, white man came to kill all the black people in Buffalo again. Oh, we love the Bills. The Bills Mafia. And I even pause right there. It is the 50-year anniversary of The Godfather. You see that permeate white culture. It can't just be that we're Bills fans. It can't just be that we love a little CTE and brain damage. Go Bills. Let's go Buffalo. No. We got to be Bills Mafia. I said the NFL is gangster. My man Dan Snyder showed you that. The Redskins, we are about gangsters. Make it plain. Everybody should just play the Godfather music when they get ready for the games. Anyway, before they got to the Bills Mafia, or they was right part of the segment, they talked about the victims. Oh, I didn't hear them mention the namesake for the Catherine Massey Book Club, saying she was crazy about the Bills Mafia. You used to see Catherine Massey. She would get out there on top of that van and bang, jump and break that table in half. That's what they're known for doing in Buffalo. They're supposed to be rabid fanatics, so they jump and break tables. That's white culture. Build things to tear it up. Doesn't Fuller say that? Just destruction. Destruction for no reason. Dangerous things. Jump out. Might break myself in half. We can laugh about that. Catherine Massey, I'm sure there are just tons of pictures of Catherine Massey Bills Mafia breaking tables in half, Josh Allen jersey on. I'm sure there's tons of that, right? Maybe I'm wrong. I got to get to Buffalo, man. Next year, Buffalo. But all of that is, we went for love, whatever that means. We went for love. We didn't go for, this white racist soldier to come here again to divide the town, whatever that means. And then we hear not Amber Geiger. Remember her? She killed a black male in Texas. Remember that? Not that long ago? Amber Becker. Isn't that crazy? White women. They always talk about the man. No, man. It is 2025 almost, practically. Amber Geiger. Amber Becker. I don't know if Amber Becker is about the Bills Mafia, but racism, white supremacy. They said she went on a rant. And Amber Becker, she's not just a gun-toting white woman. She's supposed to be in charge of the behavioral health team at the Buffalo Police Department. Are you serious? Come on. And we have heard this before this year with this exact police department specifically. Remember when we read Joseph G. Christopher? Nobody wanted to talk about that at all this year. Remember that time before a white man came to Buffalo to kill as many black people as possible? Dang. In that case, black police officers reported, dang, they're putting up pictures of the racist suspect in the Buffalo police precinct saying, my hero. Even after Joseph G. Christopher was captured, it's in Catherine Pellinero's books that the guards and all that were cheering for him. We're rooting you on. We wish you could have got more of the niggers. You're driving crime down. That's almost 50 years ago, and you're telling me, Amber Becker, it's the same now? I'm going on rants in the police station. Oh, my God. Oh, we should get PTSD pay for having to work around the Negroes. Oh, it hurts my head. The Negroes, they're so crazy and hoodlums and raping and loot. That's the same thing Peyton Gendron said. That's in his so-called manifesto. What does it mean to be white? Let's go Buffalo. Let's see. So all of that, like I said, all of that, I had one option. I could have ignored all of that, right? We could have just went Nairobi Thompson. I could have ignored all of that and went just the Walmart shooting. I could have ignored all of that. There were other reports, workplace racism related specifically. Could have played those. Include everything we just heard and then get in the Walmart shooting. Now, man, there is a whole lot I could say about the Walmart shooting in Virginia. That, man, worthless Negro from Virginia, where I was born. My goodness. So you had UVA. That's my alma mater. They had the shooting there just last week. 3 black males dead. Black male shooter in custody. Alleged shooter. And then the Walmart. Black male shooter, alleged shooter at the Walmart. Manager, they say he took his own life in the shooting. That's what's been reported. And then a number of the victims at the Walmart shooting in Chesapeake, Virginia, at least 3 that I think seem like they would be non-white. At least. I have to look at the photos again, to confirm. Horrible times in the Commonwealth. Like, man, I've been to all of these locations. Man, extraordinary tragedy. Condolences to all of the victims of racism who were impacted by all of those events. The Walmart shooting specifically, I can pause one, John Crawford III, and it is stunning. No coincidences. Today it was reported there is a court case going on. Walmart was found liable and the case can proceed in the death. 2000, same year as Michael Brown Jr., summer of 2014, John Crawford III. shot and killed. White man lied and said he had a gun and was threatening people in the store, which was not the case at all. He had a toy gun. Police came in, bang, black male privilege. But literally, that was reported today. Judge ruled, yes, court case can proceed. So thankful. John Crawford III, Walmart, dangerous for many, many reasons. Now, as for the shooting in Virginia this week, black male, Andre Bing, 31 years old, reported shooter here, alleged shooter. They said he'd been working there for 12 years, which is, I mean, wow, that is a long time to be employed in, how many of you all have been in the same spot for 12 years? They said I've seen reports where he was described as a disgruntled employee. I've seen reports where he was described as weird. The audio report, it was that people said, oh, you got to watch out for him. He might, have some sort of niggling gripe or complaint about what you're doing. Got to watch out for him. He could be a problem. They had a separate report. I just saw this today. They're saying that they're classifying this as a death note. Okay, put that in quotes. This is supposedly left from Andre Bing, alleged shooter. It's being attributed to him, where he's supposedly writing about why he carried out this act. He says, I'm not going to read the whole thing, just some of the pertinent parts. Sorry, God, I failed you. This was not your fault, but my own. I failed to listen to the groans of the Holy Spirit, which made me a poor representation of you. I was harassed by idiots with low intelligence and a lack of wisdom. I remained strong through most of the torment, but my dignity was completely taken away beyond repair by my phone getting hacked. I can't say that they were the only ones that lacked intelligence and wisdom. I was just as guilty and failed my management team and everyone that ever loved me by convincing them that I was normal, and the associates orchestrated it. They laughed and made subtle code speeches, which I eventually figured out. I thought he mentions a person, they redact the name, was my friend, but he betrayed me. Betrayal is one of the worst feelings next to regret. They laughed at me and said that I was like Jeffrey Dahmer. Everybody know who that person is? Remember? Yes? I would have never killed anyone that entered my home. A few months back, I overheard person talking to different person, and he told me that he had been trying to get rid of me since day one. After I heard that, I lashed out. The associates gave me evil, twisted grins, mocked me, and celebrated my downfall the last day. That's why they suffer the same fate as me. I will stop there. It does go on to give a little bit more. There are about 3 more paragraphs. And I've shared this on social media, at Until Justice. If you want to read, I'm sure you can find it online if you want to check it out, read it to yourself. Who knows? Maybe he wrote this. Maybe he didn't. I'm sure more intelligent folk than myself with more evidence can process this and try to make sense of, what all happened here. I can only say, again, horrible tragedy, particularly anytime where you have lots of victims who perish. We already have way too much of that anyway, and had already had enough of that in Virginia, all over the world, but especially in Virginia over the last few days. With the workplace, so many people in the workplace are bullied and mistreated. We have people talking about that all the time. That certainly does not mean, someone name calls you or bullies you or whatever. That certainly does not mean go get a gun and shoot them. However, that is modeled in the system of white supremacy. Dr. Welsing talked about that. I almost went back and played the segment again that I just played of Dr. Welsing talking about Omar Thornton, black male who went, shot up his work environment, said he was a victim of racism specifically. She said that's the whole system. It requires It mandates Buffalo, black people being killed in huge numbers all the time. It mandates that worldwide. As a result, hey, American Sniper, Death Wish, we just talked about that. Killing, shooting, guns. She said, Dr. Welsing said that. That's modeled everywhere. Bill Russell talked about what you do. Get a duel. Go kill somebody. That's what this is all about. Go get a gun. Go get a gun. You don't emasculate me. You don't bully me. Who do you think you are? I get a gun. The great equalizer. That's everything that we brag about. Cowboys and Indians. That's what this whole holiday is about. Cowboys and Indians. Pilgrims. Come on. Cowboy. Well, that too, really. Get my gun, man. We got too many of these red people around here, man. Give me the equalizer. That's what's modeled. We see that too. Get a gun. And we are mistreated all the time, bullied and what have you. For the workplace, this is exactly why. For many reasons. One, this is exactly why Gavin Becker, The Gift of Fear, we read that book. He talks a lot about workplace violence. He said, hey, for these incidents, most of the time, people have shown signs. They have exhibited unprofessional behavior, angry outbursts, displaying firearms in the workplace, talking about violence. He has an extensive bit of writing about the types of behaviors, he calls them red flags, you should be on the lookout for and take it serious. We had a listener, investor, she said she was on a job and a white man told her, man, I should shoot you. Genius, she reported it. And in fact, that's even one I would think about reporting that to the police. Terroristic threats. I don't think you can go around telling people, I should shoot you. She said her colleagues got mad at her. Teddy was just joking. He didn't mean he would shoot you. What are you getting upset? I talk about shooting people all the time, which might be true in the system of white supremacy racism. That said, that is not acceptable for safe workplace culture. Is talking about threatening to shoot someone, does that sound like a safe work environment? That's why take that serious every time. And people bringing in guns and ammo magazines or none of that is professional. Even the loud outbursts, yelling at people and all that, like, whoa, safe work environment. Take all of that serious. Report anybody who's minimizing. I grab any one of these incidents and just remind them, this is why all those rumors and gossiping about people, this is why none of that is acceptable workplace conduct. None of that. It's in policy and procedure manuals for a reason. We're not supposed to be bad-mouthing, as they say, employees and bullying them. Jeffrey Dahmer. Now, are you serious? Are you serious? I don't know if that's true or not. Hey, it could all be a fake. But I mean, are you serious? You're calling me Jeffrey Dahmer? Why are you calling me Jeffrey Dahmer? You could play it like that. Why are you all calling me Jeffrey Dahmer? And do the same thing anytime they call you anything other than your name. Do not call me Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Bundy, anything other than my name. Thank you kindly. Even that, I've been working here 12 years. I'm a manager. They're calling me Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, where's my respect, man? I've been working here over a decade, man. Like, come on. We got people that's been working, said they've been working with me for a day. And I go, oh, you got to watch out. What do you mean? You don't even know anything. I've been here for 10 years, man. Come on. None of that, like I said, would be justified for killing. But I mean, man, system of white supremacy racism. I can see how any non-white person would be frustrated on a job, and I certainly can believe being bullied, picked on, name-called, having employees, white or non-white, white and non-white, who call you something other than your name. Painfully common, all of that, in the system of white supremacy racism. I'm sure they'll have more details on all of this subtle code, and even some of this, because it's so familiar, saying that he had people who had been trying to set him up to be fired. Does that sound believable? Having colleagues trying to sabotage a black worker. Do I think it's believable that colleagues would be speaking in coded terms about a black non-white worker? I'm certain they'll have more details about all of this. Again, he killed a number of black people, so it's not like you can just say that this was racism, white supremacy. Could have been non-white people who were calling him Jeffrey Dahmer and whatever else. These all could be false allegations. He said his phone was stolen too. I don't know if that part. I can say I do talk all the time. You do not have private personal space in a workplace. That's why I say that consistently. It's not your office, your desk, your vehicle. It's all their property. So secure your phone. I don't know if it was his colleagues who stole his phone, if that happened or no, but secure your property. I know that can be challenging if you have to charge your phone, right? So you put it whatever. But man, I would charge my phone and then pick it up if you have to leave the area, if you're not going to be right next to it, and or just wait and charge your phone in the car when you get home or whatever. But you can, I think we have had people talk about that before, because race soldiers, they're not ignorant about white supremacy racism, and one of the things that they have to be informed about is their negros. They get the snooping. We've said, I believe we had someone who said they had their phone down at their desk. It may have been charging. They left their phone down just to go, get a glass of water, run to the restroom really quick, wash their hands, whatever. And the white person is over snooping. Oh, let me see before the screen blacks out. What's on the home? What website was that? What? Come on. That's what we got. So you cannot leave if it's a break area and you think, oh, I'm gonna just leave my phone in the break room, let it charge up while I'm working. I wouldn't leave it if you have a desk off it. Even if you have your own office and it can be locked, you have a key to it. Even then, I would assume there are some other white people here who can get in this office. I'm not leaving my phone. I'm good. It's unfortunate. That's the environment that we have. Again, I don't know if that happened with Mr. Bing or not, but I certainly would be upset if I worked with some folks and they, I felt like they had done something to my phone, hacked into it, tried to leak information from my phone. Again, these sort of hijinks, it's not like these are uncommon per se in the workplace. Anyway, Gavin to Becker, the gift of fear. Even the victim that we heard from who escaped, she said something told her not to sit down, and that she even had difficulty grasping that this was not a simulation, that this was, whoa, I could die in the next 5 seconds. Whew. Gavin de Becker talked about that. You get that something, anything about a particular person, stay away from them, do them. Take that seriously. You can question and figure out what's the reason for that feeling, but that is the very essence of his book, The Gift of Fear. We read that one way back, ancient history, I guess, 2019, towards the end of 2019. But that, and then there is so much violence, and again, white people, non-white people too, there's so much stress, COVID-19, and financially, inflation, and just so much chaos in so many different levels. You have to be thinking, hey, anything could happen. Where are the exits if an event? I thought like this. I told you when I worked at the comedy club in Atlanta, it was a violent environment. I was there. I saw individuals who were there who were armed. I knew that was ubiquitous. I was there when the police had to be called. Fisticuffs and all the rest of all that name calling, alcohol. I thought, visualize my man Bill Russell, he's visualizing winning championships and blocking shots and dunking. I would visualize now, if the shooting happens, this is where I will go to get to the exit. If I'm blocked getting to the exit, I can get to this area where I should be able to get refuge. I'd be out of gunfire. I can hide until things calm, and then I can run. Boom. Like that would be my visualization process. That's what you have. Where are the exits? If I am not near an exit, where can I get for refuge until, bam, I can make an exit? Might even be something that you can recommend to human resources. We should have emergency preparedness drills, especially like Walmart. Those stores are so huge where you've had police come into the store and kill people. You've had employees come in and kill people. You have, I mean, they sell guns and weapons at many of these Walmarts. So with that, you've had people who are rightful law-abiding gun owners walk into the store and they were assaulted and attacked. I've seen videos of that too. So with all of that, and it's just so many people there, man, there should be in any place else where you have, you know, a good number of employees and or the public patrons are going to be coming in and what have you. You have no idea if they're armed. People who don't work there have easy access to the building or what have you. We should have some sort of conversation, if not drills, about this is how to exit, calling enforcement officials, where are the exits, just to make sure everybody knows. If you always come in through the front door, these are where the emergency exits are located. These are where the alarms are. If there is a fire, a shooting, whatever the case may be, bang, press the alarm. That will expedite help getting to us. All of that. There might even be hidden exits. Some places they have, you know, tunnels and what have you under the building where if there's an emergency, bang, that would be a way that you could exit the building. Just all of that. Go over all of that so that you know. Hopefully, and that can be explained same way with fire. Hey, hopefully we will never need to use any of this information, but just in case, we'll be better prepared. Take it serious. It is such a violent environment, and there's so much chaos. You just kind of have to be prepared and thinking that sort of way. Anyway, number is 605-313 5164, the code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Email is untiljustice@gmail.com. Let's see, folks who dialed in. Hopefully everybody got through the so-called holidays safely, enjoyed time with the family. Let's hear how we have navigated workplace racism last week in November. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Non-Clemson grad, Miss C, parents to be. Yes, sir.
Yeah. By the way, I showed my wife your response to my email about potentially interviewing the person from, I think the Jacksonville area about the, the water system thing. I read the message you sent me, but I didn't see the picture you put in the message. My wife saw it and showed it to me. Yeah, no little tigers here. But anyway, when I first moved to South Carolina, I was outsourced from the county I worked for to provide planning services to one of the cities in the county. The city manager and public works director, last name was Case, just like the gentleman you were talking about in one of the earlier broadcast snippets. In my first month living in South Carolina, 1 month through work, my car broke down and I had to go buy a new one. At the time, I told the city manager who invited me to an event in the city that I couldn't go because my car broke down. He responded, "Bless your heart." It was a while before I learned that was a Southern insult, for what reason I still do not know to this day, but that man has since passed. On a side note, one of the city workers openly talked about the Confederacy, and I once rode in his car, which had Confederate flag napkins. Ironically, his car was an absolute mess. Next story. With crypto, I think about the snippet with the woman that you usually sniff that talked about being shocked that black people invest in crypto when they were unable or unwilling to invest in traditional tools like stocks. I remember when crypto first started, many black people talked about it like they knew about it, but when you asked them to explain, their response was usually something along the lines of, "You have to do your research." It was absolutely frustrating to me. All right, and on to the main part for what I wrote down. I really appreciate the Wednesday broadcast with Nairobi Thompson, specifically the part about black people will tie themselves in knots coming up with any other reason why a white person's maltreatment of them is something other than racism. It's not shocking to me when white people make excuses for other white people's racism. Unfortunately, it's invidious when black people make excuses for white people's racism. Too many times I've tried to broach the topic and a black person, friends, family even, have said they will not go there with me or it must be something else. Unfortunately, there has been times I've tried to speak with black people and their response is to excuse or play ignorant to racism. And of course it has made me upset, more so than a racist who might have committed the act in that situation. And worse, I even felt like I was going crazy for saying it, let alone thinking it. For some friends and family, I no longer tell them certain aspects of my life, specifically about when I feel a suspected racist has aggrieved me because I worry that sometimes they might make an excuse or blame me. Personally, if a black person, even friends and family who has denied my claims, I listen and more importantly validate their claims, or at the very least don't dismiss their claims of racism. To do so, I think, is to re-traumatize a black person yet again. I think broadcast interviews like with Nairobi Thompson and books like How to Win Friends and Influence People has helped me to let go of black people's excuse making about when white people commit racism, and even be a little bit more empathetic to black people when they have situations, even if they weren't quite as empathetic in my situation. And with that, I'll mute my line.
Wow. How to Win Friends and Influence People is in the archives. Someone asked me about that not too long ago. The full book in the archives. Once again, have to go back and upload things 5 and 20 times, but whole book, very constructive, way back in 2013, summertime. We read that one. It's short, but it does, and that book is old too. That book is almost 100 years old, but it does have some tidbits. I guess that's why it's still recommended. Some things are classic. And then Nairobi Thompson, total opposite, very, very new, super new, the second time around. But yes, she was with us Wednesday. We'll be back so that we can finish going through the book, nairobithompson.co.uk. Again, she's on the other side of the planet, and she's dealing with the exact same problem, problem, singular, the system of white supremacy, racism, but then specifically non-white people, and I think she was talking about herself as well, being resistant to acknowledge this, is acknowledge and or understand what is happening to me is racism, white supremacy. That is so painfully common. You had to do something or it's something else. He said, I'm not going there with you. Going, what? Are we taking a trip? What? Don't play around. I'm not going there with you. Racism avoidance disorder. Non-Mighty Wick, that was his term. He came up with that one some time back, but that is quite widespread where we have been conditioned. That was Bill Russell. They lynched a black male in Monroe, black male privilege. Didn't even get his name. Lynched a black male and then told the black people, you are going to stop talking about it or we will kill you too. Mom, I would be too, just saying. Best you can do, exactly what he said. Just try to remain empathetic, sympathetic with them, listen, validate their experiences, and not to force it when they, hey, brother, I'm not going there with you. All right, well, I won't force it on you. Talk about something else. Get ready for our, babe, we need those singlets, diapers, lots of diapers. Make sure that we are stocked and ready to roll. We can talk about that. And then, yes, when they are ready to talk about it, it'll be pleasant. They will be engaged. But yes, that is why it's been, I agree, it is re-traumatizing. Absolutely. Being, trying to bring things up and being denied. He said the colleague had the Dixie napkins. Dang. they got Dixie napkins. Like, that apparently, I guess he doesn't even use them to tidy the vehicle. I just like to have my little Confederate, in case I do want to tidy things up, I can do it in style. South Carolina, no place like it. Let us see. Well, I guess get the emails. I'll sprinkle in the emails as we proceed, as I'm nabbing other folks. Let's see. Drink your water, Miss C. Very important, mommies to be. Drink your water. Get that rest as well. Coconut water is great. Let's see. One of our victims, she wrote in, Vegan RD. Greetings to Gus, callers, and listeners. This week, a patient, black female I'm working with, told me that she permed her hair. She said she felt mistreated by a classmate. He would look at her like she's dirty. There's that word. I said we should really have caution about the use of the term dirty. When she came in with her natural hair, she said they treated her differently due to her hair change. She also expressed that racism is still out here and a problem. They normally don't say it that way. They normally say racism, oh, it's out there. That's like a cousin of my racism. Oh, it's alive and well. Like that's my favorite, but that one is close. Racism. Oh, it's out there. What are you talking about? A coyote? What? It's out there. How far out there? Where? That's the same. I'm not going there with you. Where? Out there. Very nebulous. Racism avoidance disorder. Anyway. Racism is still out here and a problem. I don't care what anyone says. Quote, I agreed with her and talked to her about how she can stop chemically altering her hair. She told me that it hurts how she was being treated. I agreed it is painful. I told her that it's important to make rules, codify that for work, herself, that she creates and that she lives by. She planned to braid and moisturize her hair and to stop perming her hair. That is the healthy choice of black self-respect. I was informed that the nurse practitioner, white female, would be helping the clinic by picking up medications from the pharmacy. She was elected to this task because she is doing nothing most mornings. My supervisor, white female, told me this. Lazy white female. Furthermore, the white female nurse practitioner has stopped walking her patients through the part of the nursing station without asking to go through. It's an ongoing issue, but when she does it, I always confront her and inform my supervisor. I plan to stop when her behavior fully changes. However, I honestly doubt it will, so I'm ready to be a persistent reporter. That's what you have to do. If they are recalcitrant, you just report every time. I made some errors this week. My code is to take accountability for it and think about ways to improve my work procedures. The first error I made was throwing out a full vial of medication. I had an empty and full vials on the table. My new code is once I empty a vial, I will throw it out. The other error I made this week, leaving out labs overnight. I forgot about it because I spun the blood in the nurse practitioner part of the resident nurse station. I did this because spinning blood in a centrifuge is noisy. After I placed the labs in the centrifuge, I had a therapy session with a patient for an hour. The lab report came and picked up the labs for the day during my therapy session. Due to all these distractions, I totally forgot I did not place it in the fridge. My coworker, black female and also classified as Hispanic, found it the next day and placed it in the fridge. She informed me of the error. I plan to now spin the blood in the same office and process it prior to meeting a patient for a therapy session. Finally, I took a sick day off in the middle of the week. I just didn't want to go into work. Part of my code is to take time off when I have that feeling. Woo! Love it. That is so important because so many times, matter of fact, I want to go back to the shooting really quick. They spoke with one of the victims, Brianna, black female, young lady too. She's 28 years and a mother, mother of a young child. She said she had a 4-year-old. They interviewed her and she said, she had to run out of the Walmart to save her life in Virginia this week. They said, oh my goodness, you are just so strong and composed and whatever all of that means. Man, we heard from Bill Russell yesterday. He said, you see me in a fight with the bear. He said his dad used to say that. You see me in a fight with the bear, help the bear. I said, man, all of that is hogwash in the system of white. You cannot be a victim of white supremacy and then say you are strong. If you are a victim of white supremacy, you are about the weakest thing in the universe as regards to a person. Racists demonstrate that every day. Painfully obvious every day. But all of that, I've just been in a shooting where I could have died. How am I going to explain that to my 4-year-old? Did my 4-year-old see this on television? She said, I haven't had any sort of corporate response. When do we go back to work? You got a crime scene, so I'm sure that Walmart is closed. When do I go back to work? Is this going to disrupt my income? I'm not fine. I'm not even close to fine. I'm not strong. I'm about as weak as it comes. Victim of white supremacy. Attempted parent in a system of white supremacy. I just had the coon man as a governor. So they love that. They encourage us to do that. We are just strong. We are so strong. Everything. That is nonsense. I guess it depends on what you mean when you say strong. That is not how I defined strength. The ability to absorb punishment and mistreatment and plenty of it. That's not strong. Let's see. The reason I cannot join the cows for live episodes are my children. Look at that, attempted mom, and the area of education. I have 2 vegan toddlers. Woo! I recently found out that my 3-year-old can read independently. How about that? And my 1-year-old can count and name colors. Look at that. My goal was for them to read some words, colors, shapes, and to count prior to starting school. I do not plan to send them to school too young. I want them to be able to verbalize mistreatment to myself and my attempted husband. My attempted partner code is to confront a person who is mistreating himself or attempted family members immediately. He is great about questioning white and non-white people in confrontational situations. I admire that about him a lot. I'm still working on being a better questioner of especially white people. I think that's all of it. That's why we have the cows and try to have white guests on, because I think all of us, Gus T, you can put my name on that list too, high up too, all of us could stand to improve exponentially with regards to questioning white people. Gus T included. Lost my place. Okay. My teen is also going through emotional changes, but she is doing exceptionally well academically. Hey, maybe the vegan diet had something to do with that. Maybe, we think. None of that MSG. I also have children through my attempted marriage. My son, preteen, and daughters, teen, preteen, are also going through some changes, i.e. peer pressure, at school, but are doing well academically. My husband and I support each other through the major challenges of raising black children. Our focus is to avoid having throw away children. Absolutely. Jerry Sandusky is, yes, 13, yes. I'm also thankful to your broadcast for having people like Amma Mazama and Dr. Amashakti Ani. I purchased her book on your program. I also appreciate the reminder at the end of your broadcast to not allow our children to be thrown away. Is a great motivator. Absolutely. The Grandcestor, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, she said that like every time she came on this program, every time she pretty much had any platform, she said, why is that? Oh, she was a child psychiatrist and general psychiatrist who had decades of working with black children who were victims of white supremacy and or so-called black adults who were abused and had all sorts of trauma when they were children, and now they're adults still trying to, as they say, pick up the pieces. I think that's why she said that every single time she was in front of a microphone. When you play around with sex, the joke is on the offspring. But that sounds amazing. Like, what a foundation, like breastfeeding and vegan food and get to stay at home, and mom and dad are modeling counter racism and trying to improve questioning white people. Amazing. Keep up the great work. I would only say for the codification component at work, in terms of improving, that everybody, all of us can do that, and just figuring out what are specific things that I can do to make sure that I never have, whatever XYZ problem is. I talk about the tardiness. If you can't be early, be on time. You could just make it so that my routine, I always am at work 20 minutes early. That way, if something should happen, I'm going to the U district and the bridge is up. Happened to Gus T the other day. Hey, I always am here 20 minutes early. So this 10-minute interruption is no big deal. Now, instead of being at work at 7:40, I'll be there at 7:50. I left the tubes and the centrifuge. Got distracted. Had 50 things to do. Got me running here and hither and yonder. Got to meet with the patient. Now I'm going to change my code, change my procedure, so I do this all in one spot, get this done at the same time, so this activity is totally complete. Then I move on to the next task. All of us, we can do that. We can see where potential errors are, sometimes just in how the order in which we get things done, where we can change that order. That way we never have a problem. Like I said with the phone, I never charge my phone at work. You can even just make that a code. If that means I have a charger in my car, chargers are cheap. Always charge my phone in the car. I always charge my phone at home. You can just make that your code, something where I just always do this. I walk in the house, bam, I put my phone on the charger so it's fully charged. I go to work for that 8 hours, no big deal. I already know I'm at 99%. No big deal at all. I don't even need to be on battery saver. I'm great. That way I don't ever have to worry about them stealing my phone when it was down on the charger or leaving it behind. And, oh no, they got me and all my pictures from the Bahamas and, that sort of thing. Codify everything. Love that as well about sheltering the little ones until they have better communication skills so that they have a better grasp of what's happening around them, including, wait a minute, I'm being mistreated. That's not correct. I need to say something. Ding. And they can verbalize it back to you. This is what happened. Had those Dixie napkins. Can't believe it. Number again. Much obliged. Vegan RD. Vegan. Woo. The number 605-313-5164. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, line should be open. Proceed.
Can it be heard?
That's caller at 2262. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call, and greetings to everyone on the line. I have one current update, and I have a couple of commentaries on the reports. I will first start off by saying my condolences to the victims of the Walmart shooting. My condolences to their families, and I hope they all take the time that they need to decompress and mourn properly. And I also would like Breonna Tyler, I believe her name was, the woman who was interviewed. I hope she does take time out and realize that she does need time to be by herself or with her offspring, and to also decompress and deal with the ordeal that has happened to her. I will also point out that the racist interviewer that was speaking to her, and this is from what I've seen from all suspected racists, that they have the innate ability to take advantage of every situation to their advantage. Not justifying what Andre Bing did, but I can see from the description they gave of Mr. Bing, saying that he was quiet, kept to himself. Everyone had some trivial issue with him. No one really liked to talk to him unless it was about work. That sounds kind of like me. For I guess I'm not sure if they can. Well, I suspect that they'll be able to use that to their advantage to target more non-white black people. My next point I wanted to make was about the lady who was trying to get more lawyers, I believe in St. Louis. I think she said when she was giving her response that when she was in the district attorney's office, she saw 8-year-olds in handcuffs. And I thought that was, for one, jarring and weird to begin with, because I was trying to think of what would be the reason to put an 8-year-old in handcuffs. I also noticed that she was not very gender specific, but I'm going to make the assumption that a lot of these were black boys. And I do also have an update from my relative who works as a longshoreman. I had a chance to speak to him yesterday at the get-together, and he was telling me that, yes, there are automated robots working right now, and they're up and running. He says, when I asked him, are they training him and any other unionized longshoremen to kind of be able to work on them and do the maintenance on them, he said no. I mean, these separate companies have commissioned and hired their own employees to operate and do the maintenance on these robots. And I asked him what was the racial classification. He said majority white. But he also did point out that he doesn't think that they'll be going fully automated. He gave me an example of one of the ports out here at Long Beach. He said they tried to go fully automated a couple of years ago, but it failed. He said it was due to the fact that they had some kind of power grid issue. So I also asked him again, do you think that they'll be able to work around that issue or find other means to compensate for that? He said he doesn't think so, but knowing racists and how they work, I believe that they'll come up with other ways to compensate for that. He also said another reason why he doesn't think they'll go fully automated at all of the ports is due to the fact that certain shipping containers require certain fastening devices. He used the example of when it comes to the rail carts, because they'll take the shipping container off the ships, and place them on the rail cars, and there's some kind of locking mechanism that requires manual human hands to kind of fasten them in. And from that, he thinks, well, they won't figure out they had a way to do it, but it was more time consuming that way. So he thinks nothing beats the efficiency of actual people doing it. So, and also, I do have an update on COVID-19, but I was hoping, Gus, that I can give that a report tomorrow when I have a chance to kind of structure my sentences and structure my thoughts on that. But that'll be it for today.
That is always allowed, taking time to formulate our words. We talked about that with the longshoresmen down in California, and the robots are coming. They're going to take the jobs. And even talking about the racism component of that, like how many of these longshoresmen are classified as white, how many are non-white who get these, because I believe these are union jobs that he talked about, that component. And then, as he said, the training, like, okay, so if the robots are coming, like, yeah, you can train us to program them or repair them or both, you know, whatever, that sort of thing. And once again, Nairobi Thompson, she talked about that. Oh, I could get the train. Nah. Why? Yeah, I could be trained. You're training. Nah. We don't train Negroes. Yep. Worldwide training. That is a huge one. Worldwide, just training. Anywho, let's see. We'll wait on the COVID-19 update, although other folks, for sure, feel free to share your thoughts around the update, what's happening, policy and procedure, work from home, all of that. Let's see. Get the email. Look at the other folks who dialed in. Other people who dialed in with a hand up. If you have commentary to share, line should be open. Proceed.
Can I be heard?
Z's mommy, yes ma'am.
Greetings, everyone. I wanted to give some updates on the new plantation that I started this week. Luckily, it was a short week because of the horror day. So a couple of things that occurred. So it's an interesting place to work. Everyone is quite young. I would say like the majority of people are less than 40 years old. So in the office, there's a lot of alcohol, beer. I checked in because I had to put my food away in the fridge. And I saw like beer cans, wine. I thought that was really interesting, but obviously not something that I'll partake in. But it was just an interesting thing to note. So where I work is right next to the beach. Like I can see the beach from my window. I actually got a really good seat that I sit right next to the window. I'm glad that I listened to the cows because I was able to learn how unsafe it is to walk as a black person specifically. So the beach is a 10-minute walk, and I tried to get there, but to get there you have to either walk on the freeway or you have to walk under the freeway through train tracks through a forest. And it just goes to show you how white people have really set up the infrastructure of the society to not be safe, to not be walkable, and for nature to not be easily accessible, because I, as a black person, do not feel safe crossing train tracks and having someone think that I'm doing illegal behavior or whatnot. So I'm still on the quest to find the beach. I've walked about 45 minutes. I still can't get to it. The workplace is an open floor plan, so it gets very loud in there. And I know a lot of newer companies like open floor plans because they can observe what everyone's doing, but people take meetings in there, and I'm a type of person who I don't want to work with headphones on. I want to try to be able to concentrate on one thing at a time, so it's very distracting. No one uses any quiet rooms, so I just thought that was interesting. So I have a temporary sponsor, and he's a non-white male. And this very interesting moment happened where he was helping me with just some calculations I had to do. A white male comes by, and he starts almost like yelling at him. And like the person that I'm working for, the non-white male, he's, I would say like the same level in terms of like hierarchy of in the workplace. The white male starts to yell at him, like, what are you teaching her? Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I think he's being sarcastic and joking. I don't know their relationship, so I'm not going to try and imply, but he was like laughing and saying it. And it's an open floor plan, so everyone can hear. And you can see that the non-white male is like visibly uncomfortable. I'm visibly uncomfortable. So then the white male starts interrogating him about these calculations, asking him these questions like, what type of flow is this? Do you know? And the non-white male answers, and the white male keeps saying, that's BS, but he's saying the actual curse word like over and over again. And this is my, I think, second day there. I just thought, wow, like you would think I'm going through the harassment training about how, you know, that type of joking around is still considered harassment. I just thought it was really, really odd for him to have that type of behavior, but obviously I guess I'm a non-white person, so, and the other male is non-white, so he felt like he could treat us however he wanted to and make us both visibly uncomfortable. Another thing that I thought was interesting was that it's an engineering job, but it must be at least 50% women, and there's also women in higher positions, but the ones in higher positions are white, the ones in lower positions are non-white. One of the non-white females asked me to join a Workplace for Women group, and I think the book that they're reading is called, I think, Quiet. It's about how introverts function in an extroverted world. I just basically told her, like, I'd like the book, but I was not comfortable coming to the book clubs yet, but I would let her know. But I just thought it was interesting because I imagine, I mean, there's no black people at this job besides me, but I imagine if black people attempted to make a, you know, openly black-only book club in the workplace, I imagine that would cause a lot of heads to turn and would not be met with such openness. So I thought that was very interesting. Another thing about that job, the white female who was like one of the team leads, when I was going through my sexual harassment training, she was talking to me and she said, isn't it so odd that this harassment training was done so long ago, because they actually imply that women can harass men. That's not even possible. She starts joking and saying, like, isn't it so weird that they put that in there? And in my mind, I'm thinking about, like, the cows, thinking about how white women function, thinking about, like, the books that we've read, and I just thought, oh, that's really fascinating that I don't think that she actually believes in what she's saying, but it's really interesting that she's asking me that as if I'm supposed to agree with her. I didn't say anything. I just said, oh yeah, the sexual harassment training is very interesting, and I went back to it. Another thing that I thought was interesting was, I think that was it. That was all I had to say at the moment. But overall, even though those moments happen, I would say that overall the workplace is the least terrorizing I've been in as a job so far. Even though it's sedentary, there's a lot of time to like walk around. I take 45-minute walks for my lunch, every lunch. And I wish I could get to the beach so I could like stretch at the beach or something. Other than that, it's so far the sponsor that I have is very, very helpful. He gave me a really big assignment to do and really entrusted in me that I could finish it, and I did. The errors that I made, he walked me through them, and it's just I'm lucky to have him so far, but unfortunately, he's only a temporary sponsor. The one that I will be having is a white female. I think that's all I had to talk about at the moment. If I can remember anything else, then I'll circle back, but that was all my notes. Thank you.
Wow. Much obliged, Z's mom. Hopefully, again, she got a super obese signing bonus and will have lots of amazing raises and promotions and all kinds of goodies as she proceeds through her work career. They actually have now that right there, they have a reading group at the workplace, a book club. I don't think I've ever been at a job where they have a book club at the workplace. And then it's like they have their feminist lens to, and it's new too, they're Quiet, the power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. probably by a white woman, Susan Cain. Maybe I'll check it out and maybe I'll check it out and see if it's got any tidbits in there. But that is, you need to come join our white woman group. Share a word. We're getting down, sister. Come on. That's where if I had a sister, sister, please. Like, come on. I think that is a great job of getting out of it, because you didn't, hopefully your nonverbals were composed and everything. Just, oh, thanks for the offer, and I'm still trying to get settled in, get through the orientation. I don't feel, comfortable hopping right in yet, but thank you so much. I'm going to check out the book, and let me know how it turns out. Quiet, amazing. And keep on. But I would maybe check that book out if I had a free moment. Susan Cain. That was what I meant to say. So hopefully you got an obese signing bonus. Mega obese. Z's mom, she's a parent, obviously. So, we got to take care of Z. Another vegan mommy, too, right? She was telling us about the vegan brownies and the vegan peanut soup and all the rest. So that's, got to get the organic produce and everything, too. So hopefully super obese. You should make enough. You can get your own portable fridge. I didn't even know that they had this sort of technology, but it is very obtainable for a sophisticated young lady as yourself. You can get them for under $40, and you will not even have to worry about sharing and when I say portable, it's like lunchbox size. Very, in the range of portable. Where you can plug it in, and then even in an open space, if you have your little work area where you are with your computer and what have you, bang, plug in whatever you have for your lunch. I don't know if you have water or whatever else, but you can have it all there, and then you don't even have to worry about sharing space if they've got liquor and beer. Now that right there, that's the sort of thing that I generally look at as what they call a red flag. Places where they consume alcohol, like openly. This is not somebody sneaking off and I got a flask, tucked away in my purse or in my vest pocket or what have you. Like, this is just out in the open. We got a fifth of Scott in the refrigerator and, wine and all the rest of it. I go grab a Guinness, when like, whoa. Okay. I mean, wow. Duly noted. I will be mindful of that, especially if and she talked about it's loud and all the rest of people are doing it. I'm not surprised. Dude, but that would be something that would come to mind. I would probably not want to share refrigerator space if it's going to be all that. I'll keep my stuff to myself. $40, I can call it a splurge. Get my attempted care mate. Like, hey, nab me one of those. I'll be super happy. And you should maybe get one for yourself too. Anybody that's on a job, you make enough money where $40, that's not like breaking the bank. Invest in a portable fridge. That way, doesn't matter how often they clean the refrigerator. Doesn't matter how much beer they have in the refrigerator. Doesn't matter how many snacks they steal from the refrigerator. You are great. Year round. You can even, I think some of them, they even are so fancy. I think they have freezer components on some of them. So you could have like your vegan. They have vegan peppermint bark ice cream. I said, like, for real, I could get footies and a gallon of that and sit around here and name call everybody who has gotten on my nerves since the Rona. But you could even have that too. Vegan peppermint bark ice cream. Sneak that in the fridge. Let's see. The training component. Man, I have heard for years, I've heard victims of racism say, just individuals classified as white observing non-white people in a workplace converse constructively, not cursing, not yelling at each other and blah, blah, blah and all that, not name calling, coon of the week, coon of the month, all the rest of it, talking, not plotting a revolution, not swapping Neely Fuller Jr.'s book, just pleasant, get along, oh my God. We even had a non-white person who said a white person told him on the job, hey, cut that out. I said, cut what out? What did I do? My fly open? What? Stop talking to that other nigger in the hallway. So we didn't talk. I didn't tell him. We just said, we do not, white people, we do not like seeing you niggers out talking and smiling in each other's face. You're not going to be calling each other a coon. You're not going to put him in the headlock, bust him in his nose. If you're not going to do that, get the stepping. Don't be out there talking harmoniously with another nigger. We don't like seeing that. I have heard that over. And we had read in Ohio. She said that she just worked with other black females. They weren't slackers. They didn't come in. We're not going to do any work. We're just going to sit around and talk about Real Housewives and all the rest of it. All they would do if they got a break, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. All right, everything's good. Hey, eat more Brussels sprouts, drink more water. That's it. Trying to eat a little better. Me too. Drink more water. Hey, that's great. I tried some of those Brussels sprouts. They were amazing. That's it. All them, break them Negroes up. She said they put her on like the 40th floor, grabbed one of the other black females, put her in the basement, took one of the other black females, put her on the... That is exactly what that's, and especially we got a Negro male training a non-white female so she can do her job in a could vomit. So what are you doing? What are you teaching her? What's going on? And as he said, as a joke, oh, I'm just playing. You chill. You're so sensitive. I'm just messing around. It's the holiday spirit. That's my boy. And you know, because she said it looked like the male was uncomfortable. Like, what is going on here? What is he all out in the open where everybody can see this? What does it mean to be white? Let's see. They got the... I'm not surprised at all. She said that it's female dominated, white female dominated. To do engineering, you got to go to school, right? That's not one that you can drop out of. You can't Mark Furman that one. Can't drop out of high school and then go get a career in engineering, I don't think. Might be a little bit more challenging. Who's got all that education? Oh, the champions of affirmative action, white women. So I'm not surprised about that at all. Call it patriarchy, they say. And then got the audacity. They have taken over, and now they want to sit around. I want to talk about all this toxic masculinity in Negro males. We got our reading group. Talk about quiet, introverted old white women. They beat us. Are you serious? Incidentally, whenever, you got your own things to worry about and parenting, all the rest of it, trying to get beach access. They got whole books and articles on that where they make it difficult for us to get beach access. Can't just make it easy where I can hop over, go get a stretch really quick and then hop to it, be energized. Nah. No beaches for Negroes. We talked about that literally. The land was ours. Andrew Carl, white man, my alma mater again. Where does he teach at? Wahoo Wah, Charlottesville. Coon man. But anyway, we talked about that a bunch. I would eventually, if I got, calm and everything, if I wanted to do some counter-racism study, I would go to that book club and just take notes. Wow. And ask questions even. Oh, ask questions. And even at minimum, I would try to keep tabs on with it. Like if they have like a server or email list or something, I would at least want to keep tabs on what are they reading? What does it mean to be white? Bang, studying the white woman right there. All of the sexual harassment training, that what she said that the woman told her. That's just goofy. They're talking about a woman can harass a man. That's just goofy. Dr. Curry talked about that. The man, not the black male privilege. We have had black males on this program talking about how they have been sexually terrorized by females on the job. And with that, for sure, with the aggrieved white woman, oh, we're victims and introvert, we're so quiet and they persecute us and the men just talk over us and they don't even listen to us. You want to talk about not being heard? Try to come in there and say that this white woman sexually harassed. Exactly what she did. He's saying that Susan sexually harassed. Get out of here, you raping nigger. That might even be one to ask in the class. Like, for real, like, if I was there, she's laughing and saying that. We have someone who's saying that a woman cannot sexually harass a male. Is that true? And get the trainer to make sure everybody, hey, this is not funny. This is not acceptable. Put some bass in there for us if need be. Like, hey, take this serious. Incidentally, I would encourage everybody, you should ask at least one question. You go through an orientation and they do sexual harassment, all of that, you should ask a question about payroll too. Maybe many questions, but definitely when it gets to sexual harassment, I would ask at least one question. That sends a message to everyone that, whoa, serious nigger. Male or female, I would ask at least one question about how policy and procedure is enforced. What is the procedure? If something is said, done, you observe something, what's the process? What's supposed to happen according to policy and procedure? At least one question. Hey, that's where we talked about that, getting better questioning white people. That's a chance. That's what orientation is for, right? You don't know anything. That's why you're in orientation. So that's the best time to ask questions. There certainly can't be a dumb question in orientation. Much obliged, Z's mom. Sobriety would be best. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943#. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, if we missed you totally, proceed.
Can I be heard?
Bay Area mom? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for taking the call. Greetings to you and everyone on the line. I was thinking about the shooting at Walmart. I didn't know much about it. But after listening to the lady, it sounded terrible, and it just sounds like Walmart is a very depressing environment by design. I think even the structure, the build, it's designed to maybe contain that kind of atmosphere. Even the food that's inside, the food they sell, the food they probably have access to. I know they have McDonald's, things like that. So just all that junk. And even with the guy, the coworkers, they were awful. Even though he was a little cadetty, he was spacey. They treated him so bad. And he came to work, and it seems like he just, followed the policy. You do this, you do this, you do this. I don't know how he was, but I know if someone already looks spacey, or as if they're, I think he used to cover his phone with the camera with tape. He probably always felt like somebody was watching him, and they probably were, because the employees were watching him and recording him and just bothering him. So that will push somebody that's already bothered over the edge. Can't say over the edge. That would make somebody get angry and perhaps shoot you in the break room. Perhaps. So it's too bad. And I guess he had to take his own life because you got to remember me. Because I think he was said something about making them all remember who he was. So, not in a celebrity way, but I guess because they were so mean to him, everybody would just taunt him because he was different than whatever normal is. So I just wanted to share something about my workplace racism. My own situation. So, the job where I work, I have this one little boy, and that's the one that I'm actually there to work with. Not all the other children. I just help with the other children. So he needs a lot of help because out of all the children in the classroom, his autism is more moderate, severe, and it's because of his tics. He can talk and all that stuff. He can add, he's learning to read. He'll follow directions depending on what it is. And he's more computer oriented. He always has a stuffed toy. He has to have something. Now, the other children, they bring their little stuff, toys. He created, because of him, the class is modified for him. It leaves it open for other children to kind of, well, since he's doing it, I got my favorite teddy bear. I got so they'll bring their whatevers, and he eats in the class, just for the chewing motion of it. So everybody's eating. They got spreads. They have Chinese food. It's food all day. Ants love the classroom every day. It's ants. And the teacher's assistant, the Yemen lady, she's so unhealthy and disrespectful to whatever religion she is. She eat all kind of non-Muslim fatty snacks and sweet treats. She just crams all kind of junk, and then the ants go for her death. So, oh dear. So he's going to middle school. He's going to need a lot of accommodations in all actuality. I think without me there, they were just going to push him through 5th grade and, sayonara, good, or whatever, however you say it. See you later, guy. Good luck. But since I'm there, it's not what's happening. And then I totally interject. So since that blowout about the little girl, I totally engage myself with him. I make him participate in things that he never participated in. If I'm at lunch and they're doing a group game, he wants to play now, so he wants to win or at least come close. So he'll be, okay, go ahead and help me. And so then the kids get mad. Because now before he never even participated. But now, at least the past few weeks since he participates now, they don't win. They, what's the answer, so-and-so? What's the answer? They're asking him what's the answer. So, and then of course he'll get it from me. So I get him up there. He came number 2nd place one week. He came close enough to where he saw his name on the board. And then he was excited about that. I'm trying to get him, figure out a way to get him to register math without me doing it, because that's not what I do. But I just really want him to succeed. So I know it's going to be hard for him in middle school because it's already something else just in regular elementary school. He doesn't, even though he sits with the big kids, it's just one class right next door to his where the big kids are that aren't special education. And he waits on them now, and he sits with them. Now, they allow him, they engage a little bit with them, but he just the fact that they even let him around, he just loves it, but he does all his tics and motions, and he'll fall on the ground and do stuff to try to make you laugh and just. So, his mother texted me and asked me, did the middle schools out there have modified PE? And she said, don't tell nobody. I was like, okay, I won't. Then I said, well, you have to request it, and you needed to be in his IEP. And the one that could help him the most, that's the school they'll have him go to. I said, but it has to be in his IEP. And so, sure enough, that came up in the meeting because they wasn't even thinking about doing anything like that for him until the mother brought up that. And then now they have to do that and put it in there. I think without me pushing the way I do for him, they would have just let him just fall through and have me just taking care of all the kids and just letting him just continue to do whatever it is that he does. But I don't. And then the mom was just saying that the dad doesn't help. And she just was picking on his dad. And I don't mean picking because I get it. I get it. But a lot of the pressure was going to him. And I just told her, because she did that before when she first met me, she, kind of do what ladies do. So I just told her, I said, well, can you look at it as he is doing as much as he can? I mean, maybe you can look at it like that, because to him, maybe he is doing as much as he can, especially if you're so angry. There's only so many things he's going to be able to do that you won't be angry about because you're already angry with him. So just maybe look at it like he's doing as much as he can right now. So, and she received it instead of, just, girl, these, no. Because you picked him. You went to college. She went to college. She's from another state. She went to college, and he's from the block. Dice shooting Craig. So you can't hook up with Dice shooting Craig and then expect him to be the structured parent and all this fancy stuff. So she received it, and I do the best I can to help her son, and I'm glad I'm there for him. And I'll mute my line. Thank you for taking my call.
Wow. Highest commendation for, and it's like years of sustained effort. That's why I said, you should just go to grad school and get your master's, because you are so, sincerely interested in helping these children, non-white children, do the best they can, and helping parents as well. You talked about that for so many years. Like, wow, that's, and for so, you see, throwaway children, Dr. Welsing, you see, she said, if I wasn't here advocating, trying my best to get, some of these little guys to participate, little gals to participate, come on, you could do it. Just pass them on through. We talked about it. That's routine, man. They call it rubber stamp it. Let's go. I can't really spell. That's all right. You got it. You graduated. We'll see you. Good job, Jamal. Leroy. That's it. Good job, Leroy. Like, dang, I didn't, you sure? Cause I didn't really get that out of it. Don't even worry about it. You're not going to have anything to add except them years. Yeah. When you play around with sex, the joke is on the offspring. She said, the food now I say all the time, right? No eating at work. I hadn't really thought like in a classroom context, but really, if you're a teacher or support or what have you, even if you're sending your child to school, it should be, you're not eating anything that they have there. When I worked at the school, I did not. When I got my act together, I stopped eating anything. And I was appalled. I just looked like, oh my God. Lunchables, soda pop, sugar, Go-Gurts, and all this nonsense all the time. See what she said? All day long, just eating. And the staff get on them. Of course, we got so much eating, and we're eating all the time. And it's such horrible food. I mean, if you are eating healthy, whole foods, you should not need to eat all the time. That is crazy. That's all those chemicals and everything. But we just had a whole day to celebrate binge eating, overeating, and then they sit around and, why do we have so much obesity? Why do we have so many tubby people? Gain so much weight. Make that, and then what's the ritual? Make rituals out of all this. Spend 2 months binge eating the worst type of food. It's not like we bragged about eating, roasted vegetables yesterday, cauliflower, asparagus, plant-based cheesecake. That's not what we bragged about eating. And then turn around and do the same thing next month, and then get to the new year and say, I'm gonna make my resolution. I'm gonna cut some of this lard off. I'm gonna get to that gym and get me a Peloton for about 5 days. And then it's Valentine's Day. We gotta get them cupcakes and chocolate. Oh, wait. We don't even get to that. Super Bowl. Yes. Super Bowl. Potato chips. Hoagies. Cheesesteaks. Come on, man. But in the meantime, that's every day at school. Everything I just said, potato chips, hoagies, French fries, that's every day. Sugar, fat. I submit, white people know this. That is a huge component of why you have lots of young children who have problems concentrating, focusing, even how you feel when you eat all that nonsense. I can say as someone who was tubby for such a long time, it is way different just how you feel sitting when you at your appropriate weight, as opposed to having all that extra lard, and then you're eating all those chemicals and toxins and trying to think. And then particularly when you're young, your brain and your body is still developing and is so sensitive to all of those chemicals that can just overwhelm your system. Even a lot of adults, man, you see them get some coffee or a few Twizzlers in them, and man, let's see. Let me pause 1 second. I think she's still there. Yep, she's still there. We'll nab our other folks who are with us. So Z's mommy, she just said that they got the old reading group at work. Quiet. The power of introverts in a world that can't stop thinking. Old Gus T gets this book. Reading more important than watching television. I said, study white people. Chapter 8 in the book Quiet. Soft power. Asian Americans and the extrovert ideal. Do y'all want to hear a little bit of this? I want to hear a little bit of it. Let's see. It's a sunny spring day in 2006, and Mike Sweetway, I'm going to say Way, W-E-I, Way. I'm going to say Way. I'm ignorant. I've been retarded. Mike Way, a 17-year-old Chinese-born senior at Lynbrook High School near Cupertino, California, is telling me about his experience as an Asian American student. Mike is dressed in sporty all-American attire of khakis, windbreaker, and baseball cap, but his sweet, serious face and wispy mustache give him the aura of a budding philosopher, and he speaks so softly that I have to lean forward to hear him. At school, says Mike, I'm a lot more interested in listening to what the teacher says and being the good student rather than the class clown or interacting with other kids in the class. If being outgoing, shouting, or acting out in class is going to affect the education I receive, it's better if I go for education. Mike relates this view matter-of-factly, but he seems to know how unusual it is by American standards. His attitudes come from his parents, he explains. I have a good choice between doing something for myself, like going out with my friends, or staying home and studying. I think of my parents. That gives me the strength to keep studying. My father tells me that his job is computer programming, and my job is to study. Man, I'm going to give you this last pair. Mike's mother taught the same lesson by example. A former math teacher who worked as a maid, I wonder for whom? Did we skip that part? Maybe Bill Russell had a non-white so-called Asian maid in... Never mind. Mother worked as a maid when the family immigrated to North America. She memorized English vocabulary words while washing dishes. She is very quiet, says Mike, and very resolute. It's really Chinese to pursue your own education like that. My mother has the kind of strength that not everyone can see. I'm going to stop there. This is Chapter 8, Quiet. The power of introverts in a world that can't stop talking. Soft power. That's why reading is more important than watching television. All of the roads, all of the pages lead back to white supremacy racism. Every time. Now, ooh-wee. Now, Gus T, it would just be a matter. Now, how frisky do I feel when they get to Chapter 8 in this book study session? Like, ooh-wee. Z's mommy, much obliged. Do you have any thoughts on that one? Do you want this book as well?
Yeah, I already ordered it from them, so I'm getting it for free, too. But, yeah, I think I would like an explanation of what soft power means and how that is even applied, because I would imagine that this person that they're referring to seems to have no power the way that he has to separate his life like this.
Let me give you a little bit. So this is the very next paragraph after that I just read. It's really Chinese to pursue your own education. By all indications, Mike has made his parents proud. His email username is A Student, and he just won a coveted spot in Stanford University's freshman class. California. He's the kind of thoughtful, dedicated student that any community would be proud to call its own. And yet, according to an article called The New White Flight that ran in the Wall Street Journal just 6 months previously, white families are leaving Cupertino in droves precisely because of kids like Mike. They are fleeing the sky-high test scores and awe-inspiring study habits of many Asian American students. The article said that white parents feared that their kids couldn't keep up academically. It quoted a student from a local high school. If you were Asian, you had to conform. You were smart. If you were white, you had to prove it. What? Man, you got to go to the book club, man. Like, what the hell? Like, y'all got to tell me. I'm just going to sit quietly when they get to Chapter 8 and see, are they even going to discuss, like, see if you can get in the book club, man. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Woo! Did you have anything you wanted to add on that one? Thank you for letting us know. Reading is more important than watching television.
I believe the person who started or picked this book for the book club, or who's running the book club, is has one Asian parent and one white parent. So I think it would be very interesting to sit in this book club and hear their thoughts on this specific section.
Man, oh my God, I would be the worst nightmare to work with white people where they have a book club. Oh my God. I wouldn't even say anything. I would just ask questions or maybe even just wait. What did you think? Man, it would be, I would be drunk. Like, are you serious? Come on. All of the books, not some of them, all of the books lead to white supremacy racism. Ted, what is this? It's Ted Shinta, a teacher and advisor to the robotics team at Monta Vista High School, tells me something similar. When I was in high school, he says, you were discouraged from voting in student elections unless you were wearing a varsity jacket. At most high schools, you have a popular group that tyrannizes the others. But here, the kids in that group don't hold any power over the other students. The student body is too academically oriented for that. One thing I will say, man, if that were Leroy and us, oh my God, that would be the best thing ever. Athletics and all of that has been de-emphasized. I'm just about using my brain computer. We would be getting very close to solving this problem. Book again, Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. Soft Power is the chapter, Asian Americans and the Extrovert Idea. This sounds so much like the model like that would be on the tip of my tongue as a question to ask, like, is this any different than that moldy notion about model minority? Like, I thought they talked about that a long time ago as being a racist trope. And anyway, other folks who dialed in, *61 if you have commentary to share. Proceed.
Oh, can I add one more thing really quick? I just wanted to add to Bay Area Mom about, I think I really agree that she should maybe look into becoming a special education teacher. And in California, there's a lot of programs where you get your master's for free as long as you work for a certain district for about 3 years. So it would be something to look into because there's a lot of programs where you can get your special education master's for like mild to moderate, moderate to severe, and RSP in 1 year. So just wanted to add that.
Woo! Glad we made time to get that in for sure. Like that's what I've seen. I was going to say that's what I thought, but that's what I have observed with my own retinas, that white, once again, the champions of affirmative action, I have seen them get those very programs and get their master's degree and all the rest paid for, and they ride off into the sunset. Like she said, there's an agreement, you have to work at a district or whatever, but oh man, like, yeah, you should get that master's, get that obese salary increase, and then you can get out of the classroom, man, do some hiring and all that, maybe get a nice cushy office that at least they allow you to hang in for a few, hours of the day. Anywho, motivation. Other folks who dialed in, if we missed you totally, proceed.
May I be heard?
Lauren, yes ma'am.
Hello. So the line hung up on me a little bit ago, but I came back when you were talking about the book. Someone asked what soft power was. I looked on the internet, and it said Joseph Nye introduced the concept of soft power in the late 1980s. For Nye, power is the ability to influence the behavior of others to get the outcomes you want. There are several ways one can achieve this. You can coerce them with threats, you can induce them with payments, or you can attract and co-opt them to want what you want. This soft power, getting others to want the outcomes you want, co-opts people rather than coerces them. So I wanted to lead with that. I was thinking about the Walmart shooting as well. And you said the guy who they said did the shooting, his name was Andre Bing, and he was 31 years old. And he had been working at Walmart for 12 years. So he would have been around 19 years old when he got hired at Walmart, which is basically, that's like a high school job if you're 19 years old. And they make pretty low wages from my understanding. It doesn't seem like he was a so-called executive, and even if he was, he still would have been a victim of racism, white supremacy. But yeah, I think anyone who had been working at Walmart for 12 years, that would be a pretty sad situation. Yeah. And also, when you were doing the reports, there was the section when they were talking about cryptocurrency and FTX was discussed, and it said the employees got their pay deposited to FTX instead of to a bank account. I don't know a lot about this stuff. I'm not an expert, but I didn't think, that doesn't sound legal. Is that legal? It even if it is, it doesn't seem appropriate. I mean, if you worked at Walmart, would it be okay for them to, instead of giving you a paycheck, to give you Walmart gift cards? I don't know if that's the same, but that just seemed pretty weird to me. At work, I'm supposed to take over a project from this lady, and she's supposed to, teach me what she knows before this happens. She's not really teaching me anything. I'm a little concerned about that, but I guess I've just decided I'll, take on the project whether or not she shares information. I'll just, try to act in the most constructive manner that I can. I think I have enough experience and motivation to figure it out, and I'll just ask questions if I need to. That doesn't really bother me. I guess that's how people learn most things, but I wish she was forthcoming with information and help. That would be preferable. And that's all I have for now.
Much obliged, Lauren. She normally doesn't even kick it with us like that for workplace racism. In answer to your query, I am not an expert on crypto or anything else, but I have shared other reports of this happening where workers, non-white, and I could even get more specific, Odell Beckham Jr., black male, the year he won a flippin' brain damage championship, Super Bowl, it was announced that he, I guess, got it in his contract while he was employed with the Los Angeles Rams that as opposed to being paid in U.S. currency, he would be compensated with cryptocurrency. This came, I think, about close to the end of last season, that because the volatility, FTX is out of business now because of the volatility in the cryptocurrency market, he lost so much money. He would have been way better off to just, give me the cash, let me pay taxes on it, whatever. Because I think he still had to pay taxes on that salary as though he got it in cash, but he got it in crypto, and then that fluctuated and all that. I mean, he lost a lot of money, like when the hundreds of thousands of dollars were lost, like quite a bit of money. I think at some point it was about 50% of his contract. I can go back and get the exact report. We talked to her. I shared it on the program, but yes, I've heard this before. I think Eric Adams had talked about this as well, making it so that people could be compensated. I have to go back and double check that as well, but he's been a big champion of cryptocurrency in New York. There was black people getting black people. That right there, anytime, I wouldn't care whether they're talking about LGBTQI ... or whatever else, but anything where it's question marks. Skepticism about this. And they end up getting a whole lot of black people. Racial showcasing, perhaps. Let white people be the test for all of that. Let's make sure this is, correct. We're not going to be sitting there like, whoa. But yes, I have heard that before. Other examples of employees being compensated with some form of crypto and all the rest of it. And whoa. Let's see. The trainer heard that again. White person not being forthcoming with information in a timely manner. I think it is always advisable when you have to make questions to get, constructive information to complete the project. Electronic queries. That way you have documented paper trail of asking questions. If she doesn't respond, bang, we have a record of that. If she does, this is what she said. Did she answer the question accurately in a timely manner so that I could complete this assignment? I think that is always helpful for victims of racism, because this is so all over the world. Nairobi Thompson, other side of the planet, the exact same thing. They get tight-lipped, pussyfoot around, and or ignore. No accent about any of that. Let's see. Other folks, let me get one of our emails. Then we'll nab other folks who dialed in. Let's see. Non-white female, she writes in, hi Gus and callers. Yes, you were correct. The non-white black female who does not report to me accused me of standing over her in an intimidating manner and pointing my finger at her. We were in an open office plan, heard that before, with lots of people around, so it is even more ridiculous for her to make such a claim. She is the aggressor and clearly used to making up lies. In addition to the lying, I have been stunned by the level of aggression projected at me on 3 different occasions. But what has shocked me most is to watch her face contorted with rage. Her contempt is deep, yet I have never mistreated this person, and in contrast, gone out of my way to support her. I put her behavior down to anti-blackness. Yes, my racist manager has her on assignment to undermine me, but she is hateful. That Nairobi Thompson talked about, literally, she talked about this. She wrote, a non-white female. None of these people have any connections to the States. So this is not a, I'm a black person, I'm an African American, United States, and we came here from the, No, none of these non-white people are connected to this area of the world at all. But she said this non-white person classified as black. I knew her before I had the job. We were cool. This is my black sister, and we go way back. We got on the job. She said she would publicly humiliate her, talk bad about her, yell at her, sit at her desk, and glower at her. Our conditioning has been conditioned. Last week, I explained my racist manager encouraged me and the non-white female to meet without her, trying to not to implicate herself in the damage she has caused. In the end, she had to attend because the non-white female wanted her there, clearly confident my racist manager would back her. I am sure they had a plan before going into the meeting, because the non-white female started by asking me for examples. I can tell this was coached by my racist manager to say this. I gave her my examples. My racist manager made several attempts to minimize the non-white female's behavior in the meeting, which I did not let her get away with. She also attempted to lie by claiming she did not remember incompetent Carrie bringing the IT work up in the senior management meeting and saying the non-white female asked her to get involved. I did not let my racist manager get away with that lie either. I have emails from, that's what I love, the electronic documentation, emails from Carrie, which I did not tell them. The meeting did not go as they had planned, which is why the non-white female could not hold her composure. She doesn't listen to the cows. In addition to lying about me and producing things on her list of things I have done wrong. I shall write about her surveillance next week. She also threatened me with a grievance. Dang, she did not state on what ground. My sister. I'm sorry, it's not funny. I'm sorry. She also made up a scenario about me mistreating the suspected racist COVID spreader male. He joined the organization at the beginning of September, so at the time of her first enraged rant, he had been in the team about 1.5 months. He and I had been working on board papers, which she was not aware of. This was the reason for me contacting her. She was updating a different report, and I needed to use some of the information. I wanted to check when she would finish and clarify some of the details which she had got from the suspected racist COVID spreader. In her made-up scenario, I must have seen he was in the document and did not like it, so I was mad about it. She then said, he is part of this team. Why should he not have access to the document? We are a team here. This is how we work. She did not claim I said any of this. This was her interpreting my thoughts and sharing it in the meeting with my racist manager. This is also her telling me I am not part of their team. She and my racist manager find many ways of letting me know this. I have worked for the organization longer than the suspected racist COVID spreader. I have also been in the team longer than she has. I am her manager. She is absolutely deluded and is suffering from an extreme case of white identification. Many of us do. She was speaking to me in a reprimanding way throughout the meeting. So confident was she in my racist manager backing her. I was stunned by the made-up scenario, which to me is slightly psychotic. She does have that white person involved, and that's such an number one method of maintaining white supremacy, racism, deception. So, hey, you said she's encouraging. Man. I asked my racist manager if she was hearing what the non-white female was saying. She did not respond and had her head down. That's why she didn't want to be there. I asked her the question again and got the same non-response. But my point was made. I think it was at this point my racist manager realized just how much of a liability the non-white female is. As mentioned last week, the meeting lasted an hour and a half, 90 minutes, concluding with my manager saying we would each have a follow-up meeting with her the following week. That was on Wednesday. On Friday, I went into the office and my racist manager was also there. She was not expecting me to be there and she obviously felt uncomfortable, so left the office while I was at lunch, dropping a note in the Zoom chat claiming that she needed to work from home as she had a delivery arriving. Liar. They do that. The reason she left the office was because she planned to send me an email that she knew was inappropriate and did not want to face me. The email arrived mid-afternoon. It was addressed to me and the non-white female. It read in summary, "Thank you to the both of us for inviting her to our one-to-one. You are both at risk of your relationship breaking down completely and suggesting we both have the option of attending mediation and taking out a grievance." She ended by saying, "Let me know how you get on." In other words, she intends to leave the scene of her crime. No metaphor. I was mad. The email also stated that should line management change in the future, you will still need to ensure our relationship does not impact the rest of the team. Why was she mentioning a change of line management? Seems there have been more shenanigans taking place. Unjust networking and racism. I did meet with my racist manager the following Monday because I responded to her email letting her know I was a bit confused as we were due to meet to discuss the matter. I let her know I expected her input as line manager and team leader. I also reiterated our previous discussion that the non-white female requested her presence in her one-to-one with me. I did not request her attendance. During our pre-meeting before the non-white females one-to-one, my racist manager informed me that she and our director were having discussions and are thinking of changing things around, that she may move the non-white females' line management to incompetent Carrie, who has basically been shadowing me for the last few months, even though we are the same level managers. Now, she can barely carry out tasks with lots of input from my manager. She is being given the work that I have been leading on alongside other key projects that there is no way she can do. The same is also true of the suspected racist COVID spreader, who is also nowhere near as experienced as I am, nor is my manager. It is clear the non-white black female who reported to incompetent Carrie when they were both in the previous roles in the organization has requested to change due to my mistreatment. I suspect my racist manager and director do not like the optics of me being the only black woman in our sub-team line meeting. Incompetent Carrie used to line manage someone. He left the team. I am sure in part because he knew more than her and realized it was a waste of his time. Incompetent Carrie recently gave her Who I Am presentation at a divisional meeting. She recounted her interview for the organization, stating that she was confused by the job title and thought she had interviewed for a different role and only realized after she joined the organization. Whoa, that's so embarrassing. This does not surprise me, as I know she is dumb. They know this too. But what does that say about the interview panel and the interview process? They're her homies? What could she possibly have said that convinced them she was competent for the role? She's white and she's their homie? I want to get rid of the non-white female because she is treacherous, so I have no interest in line managing her. This does not mean the racism happening has escaped me. However, her insubordinate and abusive behavior has scuppered this plan for now because the optics would not look right, which is why my racist managers emailed to us both stated if line management changes in the future. During our follow-up meeting, my racist manager let me know she and the non-white female had spoken. I am sure that was straight after her one-to-one ended and they were on the phone until midnight. She said the non-white female had said she did not want to meet with me. We had a meeting scheduled that day, which I had to cancel as I had an urgent report to finish. My racist manager stated she told the non-white female that she was required to work with me. She also stated she was surprised by the level of emotion the non-white female displayed. She claimed she is supportive of me and that she is here to support as line manager and team leader. Long sigh. I will say more about this discussion next week, but in summary, she has been pushing for mediation. I have let her know the matter is not a disagreement between colleagues, which is how she is attempting to frame it. Rather, it is a disciplinary matter, as the non-white female is insubordinate and aggressive. I am sure she is keeping the non-white female informed, which is why she took 2 weeks sick leave due to stress. This has been exhausting. I am still looking for job opportunities in other teams. Whew. It sounds exhausting just having, all of that 90 minutes of this and lying and oh my gosh, and all this just hate, anti-black hate from someone who has just been conditioned to despise and be in conflict with black people. And that is us. That's years of minstrel shows. We heard about that this week. Black people putting on minstrel shows. All of that is for us to despise and be in conflict with it. Dr. Welsing talked about that. We don't have that black self-respect. Can't have a system of white supremacy without destroying the black self-respect of every non-white person, so that we just sit around and squabble, bicker, argue all day long, 90, and then come in and do it again the next day. I'm so sorry you had to endure all of that. I would really replenish, take time off for yourself, replenish, rest, do healthy, rejuvenating things. Yes, be looking for other opportunities. Maybe she'll get moved on to incompetent Carrie and you won't have to deal with her. But I mean, wow, that is so, and this is so common. I just said Nairobi Thompson. She wrote about this exactly. Not homies in the workplace. Let's see. Folks who are with us, I guess, last few moments before we wrap up. Folks, we missed totally. I know our caller in Florida should be with us. Do you have comments you wanted to get in before we wrap up, sir?
Yes, sir. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners and callers. I had two reports that stood out to me at the workplace. The first was a comment made by a white woman that have offspring from a black male. She was showing images of one of her daughters to a black female on a cell phone. And the black female says, "Oh, well, she looks just like her dad." White woman says, Don't say that. He is ugly and she is pretty." And said it again. He is ugly and she is pretty. Don't say that. And then so they're laughing or whatever. And she becomes serious and says, "My dad is a police officer and I'm going to tell her," meaning her daughter, "that he locked up bad people." So I'm thinking that's kind of a code that they have, her and her white father. And she, after that, says, "Well, I guess I like y'all enough to come into work tomorrow." And the black female says, "I don't take any offense to that." So I didn't say anything, but I think she was trying to get me to say something because I've been effectively silent throughout really this was last week because I've been off this week, taking days off. So the black female manager said, "Well, I don't take any offense, but I think this white woman was practicing racism." And one last one is that a black female, a victim of racism, said a white woman, another white woman, a manager, right, supervisor, suggested to bring or to make chicken and rice for a black female staff member in that department, and suggested that a black male bring a can of greens and a white woman in the same department to bring in cornbread. So this victim told me, she said, I stopped that immediately. I'm going to stop that immediately. I don't care if it's not my birthday or not. So she pretty much did that, ended it, and the white woman apparently, I guess, didn't like it too much. But, I guess it's not happening. So I guess they just brought in some other type of stuff. I said that I'm not participating, period, because this, among many other things, stereotypical tropes. And she knew what she was doing. And she also said, "I know what you will all like to, And I said, write that down because I'm going to write it down too. And other than that, that's all I have for now. Thanks for allowing me to share.
See, they make it easy at the courthouse. See, now I'm not surprised. He said, this was a while back. He called at the courthouse. He said, there's a black female victim there who came up to him one day and said, "You know what? Now I see why you don't eat the food here. I'm going to do the same thing, black brother." And they did their little fist bump and Right on. He didn't say he had been trying to proselytize and talking about Neely Fuller Jr. and counter-racist concepts that she, went and saw all of that. Now, given what he shared over the past couple of months, because they brought in the brain cake, we were having the audio difficulties, so I don't know if y'all got to hear that, but he sent me the picture. I said that they made the Jeffrey Dahmer brain cake. He can get 2 mentions today, where it's like, what the heck? Did they kill somebody and put their brain matter and then bake it and bring it to serve to us like Hannibal? What is going? He took a picture of that. And then they come back. We're going to celebrate. We got Leroy and Ain't Your Mama. She got a new job, so we're going to celebrate. I think we should, you know what, Jamal, you should bring in chicken and rice. And then you go get the can of greens that she loves, and I'm going to get the hog mogs, and we'll get some chitlins and fatback, and oh my goodness, we will have us a plantation jamboree. Watermelon, can we get watermelon at this? Like, come on. Really? Just write that down. Like, I'm not participating at all. I'm just writing that down. And all of that is why, no, I'm never eating anything. I'm not bringing food. Why are we even doing this? Everybody who works here has benefits. They have a job. We don't have anybody here who is struggling. We got to bring in canned goods for them to have something to eat. They got leftovers they didn't even finish yesterday. We don't need to feed anybody here. You could, if anything, thank you for your years of service, hard work. Wash your hands so we can all stay safe and try not to burn anything in the microwave. Thank you kindly. Clean your items out of the refrigerator too. Thank you. That's all. Not we got to go and then. I guess she's ignorant. She didn't know. Did they have that sort of food? Because that's what Fuzzy Zeller said, right? You got a long record of that. Tiger Woods, remember that one? That's an oldie but moldy. He said, oh, yeah, what do they like to eat? The fried chicken and greens. He said, yeah, I know what you coloreds. I know what you all like to eat. See, she didn't say she was ignorant, see? She said, I'm an expert. I know what the negro food is. Fatback, chitlins, cornbread, watermelon. Oh, I study. Oh, yeah, I did my, see? All of that. I would just write that exactly. Write that down. Right there. Expert. Studied the negro. Love it. Just let white people talk honestly. That way you just make it so plain. He said other folks heard it. I was like, what? What? No, and then he said the white woman got mad. Like, what? You got hungry, starving, shiftless niggers, and I'm trying to do my best to bring in chicken and rice and cornbread, and you gonna tell me I can't? I'd write that down too. Got an attitude. Didn't want. Already made the cornbread. Then, teaspoon of black male privilege. The white woman has her little child. I thought it was going to be, well, I guess it was. I was thinking of Pam. She was on my mind. I was thinking it was going to be, isn't she beautiful? Look at that. Got her complexion like her mother. White mother. Look at that. Got that nice hair. And it was close to that. Said the co-worker looked at it. Oh, wow. She looks like her dad. Oh, God. Oh, God. I thought it was going to be not that shiftless, out-of-work nigger. I thought it could have been that one. No. Oh, God. Not that crack-smuggling nigger. No, not that one. Not that one. Oh, God. Not that raping nigger. Close, because I guess he is, maybe. But it was just, oh, God. He is so ugly. Like, oh. Just these, oh, that's not. Whoa, okay. All right. That's not so bad. We just got an ugly black. Hey, that's all of us, they say. And she said she had to emphasize it. He is ugly. Dang. What? You had a child with him. Like, now how ugly is this nigger? Really? Why did you get in the bed with him? Have a child with him. You hung out with him was he ugly then? Did he have an accident? Something happened to his face? Like, come on. All of that right there. That right there. We get confused and think, hey, we heard that this week. Hey, he was having sex with black people, so he couldn't be racist, really. Sounded like Crystal Tyler. No count, ugly father. Glad you take after your mother. I'm sure that's spectacular. I couldn't imagine that she says anything like that around her non-white child. I couldn't imagine a white mother saying or behaving in a manner that would suggest to this child that your black father is ugly. In fact, I think your black father is ugly. And you should be glad that you don't look like him, because I would think you're ugly too. Wow. What does it mean to be white? That's black male privilege, right? You get a white woman, right? And she thinks you're ugly. You all have children together and she thinks you're ugly as sin. Black male privilege, right? Be here tomorrow. Compensatory call in 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Hope we all survive Negro Friday. Sobriety, we heard that now. They got the liquor in the refrigerator on the job. Man, come on. Sobriety would be best. I'm certainly not drinking with my colleagues, on the clock no less. Creator, we ask that you help us remain patient with other black people, victims of white supremacy. We ask that you help us remain patient with ourselves. Remind us to demonstrate the highest levels of black self-respect at all times, in all places, each and every time we are in contact with another black person. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in. No name situation in Virginia. No name calling. No gossiping. That's Virginia too. That is so rampant in the workplace. No throwaway offspring. Eat more veggies. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.